No matter which mouth you feed on a two-headed snake, it still shits the same turd. But lucky for you, you have Mox News. More than 10 years. More than 60,000 videos. Mox News has been filtering the nonsense and illuminating the bullshit from your mainstream media. Turn off your TV and turn on to Mox News. For over a decade, documenting the socio-political events that have etched and carved the pathways that define today's modern mess, Mox News has been providing clarity while faithfully bringing you today's relevant stories 100% commercial-free and subscription-free. And just like Lady Liberty vows to remain free. But at this time, we're asking you for your help, your patronage, and your support to keep the lights on and the videos rolling. For less than 17 cents per day, you can become a basic subscriber, knowing that your donation is truly making a difference that will help continue bringing the news stories that make a difference in your life. Turn on, tune in, and drop a couple dimes today by clicking the link below or visiting moxnews.com and show your support at any level. From a single one-time donation or dedicated monthly subscriber, do it now in less than 2 minutes. All donations are safe, securely processed, and verified using PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover Card. As always, we're sure you'll find something of interest each and every day. This holiday season, give the gift of Mox. moxnews.com.
Hello, my little ninjas. I need to start this show off with a bong hit, so let's do this right. My name's Mike, and this is my YouTube page, Mox News. And welcome to your Wake and Bake News at 7 p.m. I'm your host, Moxie. Thanks so much for tuning in. Please remember, it's always better when you're here. Not only that, but look. Our Boo Bear's here! There's my Boo Bear! Down by the river. It's a good spot for you, buddy. Down by the river. So, we got that going for us, which is nice. Oh, and the big fat dab ready to go, which is nice. And I have clips. I come prepared, people. I got dabs. I got clips. I'd really like to know, feed the people who don't have enough to eat. Shoe the children with no shoes on their feet. How's the people living in the street? Oh, there's a solution. All right, so where were we at now? Oh, bong hit time. I love this part of the show. Bong hit time. This is Rufus's favorite part, too. But we really want to have a discussion on legalization of cannabis in the United States and Mexico. What you think. The number's right there on the screen. Go ahead, call anytime. I'm feeling much better now. So, that's where we're at the moment. Again, if you'd like to call, the number is 805. In case you didn't catch that, it's 805-669-6397. 8:05. 8:05 Mox News. All right, so where were we? Oh, yes, we have videos to play. The legalization of cannabis in Mexico. From what I understand, Mexico has legalized cannabis nationwide, which makes Mexico the largest market for cannabis in the world at this moment. The largest legal market for cannabis in the world. So it seems like what's going to happen is all the people that are making money off of legal cannabis in the United States right now are all going, we gotta go to Canada, look at all the money to make. Because the people that are making money off of cannabis right now, most of them, I would bet, don't smoke cannabis. You know, the upper echelon of people. So but I'm really glad to see Mexico like give some of their people a little bit of freedom. And I don't know how much longer the land of the free can act that way when their neighbors, you know, Canada has legalized freedom, Mexico has legalized freedom, but the United States is like, no, we love our police state. We have to hang on to our police state as long as possible. In a death grip, a spiraling death grip. We'll never let go of our police state. Never. Meanwhile, we're surrounded by countries that are actually more free than us. At least that's the way it looks at the moment. So, I don't know. Is that what you're good with? You know, are you good with this never-ending police state when Canada has legalized cannabis nationwide and Mexico has just legalized cannabis nationwide, but you can't have that kind of freedom because you were born in the United States. And in the United States, we don't believe in freedom. Wait a minute. What? You know what I'm saying? I'm just wondering. If you don't know what I'm saying, it's all good. You know, obviously you're not experienced. Are you experienced? Have you ever been experienced? Well, I have. So you know. And my Boo Bear, my Boogie Woogie Boo Bear, he's very experienced. So, you know. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and play videos because I don't know what else to do. I can ramble on about cannabis. I can do that, you know. I can't wait to start the backyard garden this summer. I think it's going to be so much fun sharing that with you. Possibly, you know, you guys, some of you who can legally, you know, growing the same genetics as I'm growing. Maybe outdoor. The reason I like outdoor is because, well, obviously it's more natural. But I like outdoor. It lets me use the kind of fertilizers I like to use, which I like to use very natural fertilizers like bat guano and fish emulsion, you know, crab shell, stuff like that. But these are not the kind of things you want to use in the house because of numerous different reasons. But mostly, I mean, not mostly, but also it has an odor to it, which is fine outdoors. It's no big deal at all. But you don't want to be pouring fish emulsion in your tent inside. I don't think. Maybe if you have, you know, I have proper ventilation. It just doesn't seem like a good idea. But outside, I love it. So, and also the thing I like about the idea of growing along with Mox, grow with Moxie. I like that. Gardening with Moxie, grow with Moxie, because that's the idea. I'll do my backyard summer garden and I'll post weekly videos and you guys can see what I'm doing, and then if you want you can send in photos of your beautiful garden, indoors, outdoors, whatever it is, and we can share that on the weekly update of the garden. I think that would be really cool. But even more, I love the idea of growing really beautiful flowers, and it's one of those things that I really want to do before I leave this planet. And so far, I've grown some nice flowers, but I haven't grown like really choice, beautiful, mouth-watering. I mean, they were close to mouth-watering, but they were all sparkly and stuff. But I really want to get it just right, And so my idea is that maybe we'll be able to grow together and learn from each other and that kind of stuff. Hello, caller.
Hello, my name is Jared.
It is, really?
Yep.
Right on. Did your mama do that to you or your dad?
My dad. Yeah.
So what's up, Jared?
Nothing much. I just wanted to talk a little bit about legalizing marijuana in the United States. It's a big controversial issue as of currently. I don't even know why it's controversial when marijuana is a very safe drug. Of course, it's getting legalized all around
It's the
the United States and
it's the safest
all the neighboring countries.
It's the safest drug there is. Let's just be clear. Marijuana is
by far
out of everything that people choose to get high on, the safest thing there is cannabis. Okay, you can OD on caffeine. I guarantee it. You can't do that with cannabis.
Yes, exactly. I mean, if we're banning plants, why aren't we banning cactuses? Not that I'm saying we should ban cactuses, but they make I think it's tequila with cactuses. Am I correct? Because
yes, that's correct.
And alcohol is as you were saying the other night, is the biggest rape drug in the world.
It's the number one date rape drug in the world. Every night, every day, 1 million women get raped because they had one drink too many. That's the facts.
Exactly.
I don't want to think that way. It's just the facts. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And this whole thing, it's just about funneling money and more money, taxpayer money, into the police state that's currently existing in the United States, right?
And Big Pharma would take a pretty big hit from the legalization of cannabis and so many other things. It just opens the door to all this new industry that the world is desperately waiting from, and it was purposely taken from the world by the leadership of the United States, this cannabis technology, in order to suppress the evolution of mankind. That's why.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. The government is, in my opinion, this is more of a conspiracy than it is fact, but I think that they're trying to do that because they want to suppress the people. They want to keep us stupid. They don't want us to think, to be critical thinkers. And of course, the mainstream media doesn't want us to do that either, but they do a much better job of it.
Well, the mainstream media is just really the mainstream media is really just a tool of the government at this time. The government basically, I will pretty much at this time I can tell you I believe 100% that all of the mainstream media that are like the people who have anchor positions or host positions, like Don Lemon and Sean Hannity and stuff like that, they have to go to classes at the Department of Homeland Security and understand what it is they're doing. I mean, it's basically they're taught things that we don't talk about, and then if they actually come out, how we talk about them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
You answered that just right, by the way. It's a South Park thing. I don't know if you remember that episode where Butters became a pimp and he went to the
I haven't seen that episode. I'm a big South Park fan. They get a lot of things right politically.
He went to the pimp convention. I think it was in Detroit or something, to figure out how to handle the business better. And
yeah.
And they kept asking him, "Do you know what I'm saying?" And he says, "Yes, I know what it is that you are saying." So
Yeah, yeah. You know, so this whole the fact that we haven't legalized marijuana yet is frankly ridiculous.
it's
You
like
know,
it's like you
and
said. It's like you said. It's because they want us under the control of the police state. They don't want to loosen the control of the police state at all. They like it being in a death grip on us.
yes, because if they don't have that, then the people are going to start taking account for what they are doing, and then they're gonna lose their power because people are going to realize how insane the government and some of the decisions they're making like actually are. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, hopefully they will realize that the war on drugs, the completely failed war on drugs, has been a war on the people of the United States, especially the children, by these people that are saying, "Why don't you think of the children?" You know, and that so they're doing it purposefully and hurting us. Again, I think this is part of the evolution that they're trying to hold down. In fact, I'm contacting numerous seed breeders at this time, and one of the things that I'm telling them is that I truly believe, without hesitation, I can say that I believe the cannabis breeders of today are some of the most important people in the world when it comes to the next evolution of the human race. I mean that's one of the things that I tell them right up front, and it's true. That's exactly who I am, and then this is the reason that they're keeping it from the people, again, because they don't want us to evolve. They know that cannabis connects people to people also. I've always said that what cannabis does is it connects us to the earth, it connects us to the higher spirit, and it connects us to each other. And they don't want us to have any of that.
Yeah, exactly. This brings me back to my point that the government does not want the people to know, or does not want the people to be smart and knowledgeable and conscious of what is actually going on. They do not want this because then they would lose their power, which is so precious to them. You know, and I mean, I believe that that 9/11 was meant to bring the drug war to Afghanistan. You know, to control the opium that's there. You know, that's a completely unrelated topic, but they don't want any, and they grow marijuana, as you know, in Afghanistan, which I think is a big part of them trying to spread their tyranny worldwide. That's a bit of one of my beliefs, but you know.
Yeah, from what I understand, the hills and like the hills there, they just look like arid desert now, right? But from what I understand, they just used to be covered in fields and fields of cannabis. You know.
Yes. Yeah. And then, of course, good old America decided to turn a little bit tyrannical, and according to George W. Bush, freedom ran there, grew legs and ran there, so we had to go there and enforce tyranny on those people, and make sure that enforce our drug laws there, which is disgusting in my opinion. But sorry, that's completely unrelated.
No, it's okay. We have a regular caller who goes by 2 Bronze Star Brandon, and he's spent time there in Iraq. And he said, I asked him the other night, I said, we see these pictures of U.S. soldiers guarding opium fields. Is that real? And he said, yeah, man. He said the opium there is like currency. It's worth hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, and yeah, we got to protect that shit. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. That nation would be much more prosperous if we weren't holding them back. Frankly, is what we're doing over there.
Look what we did.
But of course, we can't back out because then, once again, the tyrants in Washington would be embarrassed or lose power. So.
Well, the problem is when we start withdrawing or closing military bases, then all of a sudden a 9/11 happens very conveniently for the Pentagon, or something similar. And then look what happens when we start to back off our military dominance in the world. We can't do this. And then and now we're spending 10 times as much money as we did before 9/11.
Yeah, it's frankly ridiculous, you know.
I think if we ended the drug war, it would end about 80% of crime. And honestly, I believe we could completely get rid of the Department of Homeland Security. We never had it before 9/11. I don't think it adds. You know what I honestly believe the Department of Homeland Security's job is to prepare our local police departments for martial law. because that seems to be the only thing they're doing to me. Go ahead.
Exactly. Yeah, I completely agree with that. The Department of Homeland Security. There's really no point for that. Besides, I know I keep bringing it back to this, but enforcing tyranny on the citizens of the United States.
Right. I see a lot of that. I see so much support for it too. It's very strange.
It is. Yeah, it is terrifying how brainwashed some people in this country are.
Yeah, I mean, I talk about it a lot, about, freedom. I talk about it a lot, and people just talk like it's some kind of obscure thing, but it's really not. It's kind of the basic thing of being the tippy top of the food chain, the upright tippy top of the food chain. We can make anything happen that we can imagine. At least that's the way it's supposed to be on this planet for humans. But we're so held back by people like Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell. And those, we just no leadership saying, let's go boldly into the 21st century, and be the guiding light that leads the world. I don't hear that shit going on.
Frankly, yeah, the politicians like Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell, they're only holding us and this nation back from what it really needs. I believe we need a complete restructuring of the United States government. To make it for the people and make it decisions that will actually help us out, instead of, the same old, how do I phrase this? The same old bureaucratic nonsense that we have going on,
It's more evil than that. It's more evil than that. I mean, that's kind of almost letting him out of, letting him off the hook, which I'm not willing to do. I think the people need to make examples of the leadership that has failed us so badly, including the president of, W and Dick Cheney and Biden and Obama, the drone king, who is supposedly the most liberal president in the world, except for the people who said he's the third and fourth term of George W. Bush. They have to be held accountable. And not just them. Every member of Congress who votes to keep these never-ending wars going forever. Wars that they know are based on lies. They know the Iraq war is completely based on lies, and yet they can continue to spend billions and billions of dollars on it. And now I see this fucking shit on the TV when they talk about the toll that the war in Syria is taking on the children. And all I can think is, why the fuck are you spending billions on making war in Syria then? Fucking
yes, exactly. They're dumping hundreds of taxpayers, and it's doing nothing but killing the people of Syria, and we shouldn't even be involved there. That's on the other side of the planet. Okay, and frankly, we went to Iraq for absolutely no fucking reason except to, in quote, stop terrorism, which wasn't even there before we were there. We were the ones that created Al Qaeda there.
Well, I don't think Al Qaeda was going on in Iraq. What was going on in Iraq? I mean, we created after we made Iraq a failed nation. But what we heard about Iraq was it had aluminum tubes and yellow cake, and we didn't want the smoking gun to come in the shape of a mushroom cloud, and people just buy this fucking shit. And the media they pounded the drums for war. They're talking about fucking water tanker trucks that are biological labs, mobile biological labs, and then we go in there and we just do this shock and awe shit where we bomb the hell out of a fucking city filled with people, and everybody's like, oh, America's the greatest superpower in the world. And it's just disgusting. I mean, that was on my birthday in March 2003. March 19th, 2003. That was the day.
It's a pretty bad birthday present.
That was the day the shock and awe hit.
Yeah. That was, I wasn't very, very old then, but, that was a frankly, looking back on that now, it was shocking how many people supported the Iraq War and still support the Iraq War, even though it's a giant waste of taxpayer money that has killed tons of innocent civilians, and now we're trying to expand it to Syria. And sorry, before I let you talk, and I would like to elaborate on. I meant like that's the reason why they keep saying we're staying there is because Al Qaeda is there, you know. Even though the CIA and people have said that there's like under 1,000 Al Qaeda fighters there,
Yeah.
you know, it's completely nonsensical, and their own data doesn't even back them up, you know.
Yeah, and not only that, Iraq was the first place they wanted to hit right after 9/11. Dick Cheney had fucking maps of Iraq out on his fucking desk, and another reason you said the only reason they wanted to do this was because they wanted to spread tyranny or make Iraq a failed nation or something like that. The real reason they wanted to do it was to make Dick Cheney is richer than he ever dreamed with his Halliburton shit, you know, and that's why people like Liz Cheney, who's the third most powerful Republican in the House of Representatives, votes every time she gets the chance to keep the endless wars of choice based on lies going forever and ever on your dime because it makes her family so much richer. And this is the reason she must go to prison in order to make examples out of them so the rest of the world knows that Americans are not like that. You know, we don't, and this is just evil people, and they need to go to prison, and that way we can show the world, but not just the world, we can show the politicians who come behind them, you know, this is unacceptable, and we will fucking take, you know, we will take action to make clear, you know, that this is unacceptable, just as we did your predecessors. And not just that, but we need to seize all of their assets also. This way, people like Dick Cheney won't go to prison and go, well, at least my grandchildren are living in luxury because of what I did. You know, fuck that. Their children need to live as despised human beings, disgraced by the rest of the world, not going from luxury vacation to luxury vacation. That is not what we want fucking Dick Cheney thinking about when he's rotting the rest of his few fucking weeks in prison.
Yeah, what's it called? It is really sad what the rest of the world thinks of us because of scumbags like him. You know, I hate to use the word to call people scumbags. You know, I don't like to insult people, but he's frankly nothing but a scumbag and a liar. You know, and you are completely right. We should throw people like that in prison for the rest of their short lives. And in the case of him, he's definitely probably going to go within the next few years, thankfully. But
well, let's just be clear. He's more than a scumbag and a liar. He's a war profiteer, and he created a war based on lies exactly so he could profiteer off of it. And the truth of the matter is, war profiteers are lower than pedophiles. Okay? Pedophiles just have sex with the children. War profiteers blow them into a bazillion pieces so that they can fucking make a penny off of it. Okay? And that's the fact. And they don't ever go to jail, where they have to go for the simple reason that someone has to think of the children. Make the world a safer place for the children. Because we can't have fucking pieces of shit running around like that.
Yeah, what's up with they still love to use it's for the children, you know? When it's like, have you actually talked to the children of that country? Or have you talked to them at all? Or have you gone them and seen them in person? They do not want you there.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, in most cases, they had it pretty fucking well before we showed up, you know?
I heard in Libya, everyone got free college in Libya. And they got free health care, you know, because it's a rich country. So it's, you know, but man, we can't have and they love Gaddafi because of it, from what I understood. You know, and then, you know, the CIA floods it with money that makes people angry at Gaddafi because, hey, we got money. You know, so go ahead.
Oh, sorry to keep interrupting. But,
I'm the one interrupting you, and I'm not going to say sorry, But it's me who's doing that, so you don't have any reason to apologize. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, but Libya, now they have like slave markets there, and
Right.
before that they had like free healthcare, free college. They were doing pretty well, you know. They didn't have freedom of speech, which of course is awful, but that's no reason to completely overthrow a government and turn the country into complete anarchy where warlords and Islamist militants ruled the whole country, you know.
Right.
That made it even worse. And they're still in active conflict to this day, you know, and that's the result of, you know, Obama and Joe Biden deciding to bomb the shit out of that country, you know,
Right.
and once again interfering in things that we should have no part of, you know.
It's all based on lies. I mean, that's an important fact that we have to keep bringing up because everyone knows at this point that it's all based on lies, and yet these scumbags in the Congress just vote for it. Oh, just vote to support the war in Iraq over and over and over. Why? Because we have to put our soldiers first. Yeah, that's what it's doing, keeping them separated from their families, putting them on the edge of their deaths. That's thinking of the soldiers first, right? Fuck, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
we have to do something to hold these people accountable. What they have done is soiled the good name of America. And the only way we get it back is by saying, yeah, that wasn't us. That was these fuckheads.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we really need to change American politics as we know it by making an example out of all those people and throwing them in prison, frankly, for the crimes that they have committed against this nation and the people of the world, you know.
Yeah, they are crimes against humanity. They are war crimes and crimes against humanity. I mean, Obama bombed schools, he bombed hospitals, he bombed funerals, he bombed weddings. Those are all crimes against humanity. That's the way those things are labeled. And he knows that. It's not like, oh, I didn't know. Fuck you. Okay? And they didn't accidentally hit a fucking wedding party or a fucking funeral. It's such bullshit, and they just walk away and write a book.
Yeah, it's I'm pretty pissed myself about this whole thing. But as of currently, we can't really do anything because the American people aren't waking up, which makes me bring out the media, which is probably worse than the politicians themselves, who make the American people docile and all dumbed down so they don't even question what's going on.
The media is horrible. It's the media is, like I said, it's an arm of the government at this point, the way I see it, and the way the mainstream media plays out is basically just like the politicians. This so-called conservative media is talking to these suckers who identify as so-called conservatives, right? And this side, the so-called liberal media is talking to these suckers. They're not very good at it though, but they adjust as they go along. I don't know if the conservatives are easier to talk to or whatever. I think it's because the liberals themselves had this underlying like anarchist kind of fuck the police state. It's in there somewhere. That's not in the conservative side from what I see.
Yeah, what's it called? With the left, they seem to be anti-police but pro-big government. It kind of confuses me,
I think it confuses them too, and I think that these labels oversimplify everything and then make it so that you think, oh, well, they're on the left, so that means they're on my side. It's not true. I don't see any politicians in Congress that are actually genuinely on anyone in the working class side.
Yeah, it's all about money at the end of the day. It's filling the politicians' pockets, with our hard-earned money.
Yeah, I mean, they're profiteering off of these wars, including the drug war. This is why, and it's a war on your children every single day in every single one of our neighborhoods. And it's like, it's not gonna. They just hold on to it with a death grip, like we're trying to legalize marijuana, and like, oh no, we can't legalize marijuana. I mean, Obama, change we can believe in, like 7 months or a year into his fucking presidency, a woman at a town hall meeting stood up, a very brave woman, and she said, Mr. President, what are you going to do about the legalization of cannabis? She was a black lady. She says, I have 2 sons. What are you going to do about the legalization of cannabis? And he laughed in her face. Ha 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 ha! I don't think the legalization of marijuana is the answer to all our problems. And she didn't ask him anything like that. She didn't make some stupid statement like that. She was just like, please, what about my children?
Wow, it's truly disgraceful. They care about the children up until it disagrees with their agenda,
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah, as I keep bringing up, ultimately to line their own pockets, which is disgusting.
This is what I'm talking about. The war profiteers, it doesn't matter if they're drug war profiteers or if they're, war profiteers, war in Iraq, war in Libya, war in Syria. It doesn't matter. They're all the same fucking scumbags who we must deal with as if they're war profiteers, which means they make money off of other people's misery. And they love it. They love making money off other people's misery. And if you think that those are the kind of people we need to be getting leadership from, there's something wrong with you too. Sorry.
Yeah, those people, I hate to say it, are dumb enough to believe anything.
Well,
and I feel as if it's sadly going to be that way for the rest of my lifetime, more than likely, sadly. But yeah. So
it's like I said, we're not going to get anything different until we make examples of the current people, because right now they're literally getting away with murder, and nobody's doing anything about it. So if you expect something to change when people are getting away literally with murder on a daily basis and nothing ever happens to them, and you expect that to change simply by voting for someone, you are sadly mistaken.
Yeah. Yeah, so I gotta get going.
All right, bro, it's good to hear from you. What'd you say your name was?
My name is Jared.
Jared, yeah, okay. With a D, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, it's good to hear from you, Jared.
All right. Nice talking to you.
Okay, call back anytime. See ya. All right. So, and this is what the show is really about: is us having a reasonably meaningful conversation. And I don't mean to interrupt, but it is my show, and I want to make sure that when we're talking about people like Dick Cheney or Barack Obama, big-time war profiteers, Nancy Pelosi, Mitch McConnell, when we talk about them, it's not that they're just money-grubbing, power-hungry scumbags. It's not just that. They're war profiteers. They're as evil as it gets on this planet. They make money knowingly by causing other people's misery, blowing up their babies, and all these other horrible things. And they make money off that. And that's what and there's nothing they love more than that. So they cause as much misery as they can. And this is why I say again and again and again, these people must go to prison. Otherwise, the rest of the world thinks that we're scum just like them. And I'm not. And I hope you're not either. All right, so where are we? We're playing videos. Do we have a phone caller? What do we got going on here? Okay, so I have all kinds of videos for you people tonight, including pregnant military. I don't know where that came from. Oh yeah, Tucker Carlson. And North Korea is threatening Joe Biden. They're making a few things clear. Let me just explain a thing or two to you, Mr. President. And it was Kim Jong-un's sister who explained them to Mr. President Joe Biden. And I really I actually find his sister kind of fascinating. But I got a thing for the Asian girls. Hello, caller. Hello, caller!
Hello.
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 Here's
Did
a
you want to
suggestion.
say something?
Just don't be a-holes. Here's a suggestion. Just don't be a-holes. Here's a suggestion.
I guess
Just
not.
don't be a-holes. Here's a suggestion.
So, what
Just
were we
don't
saying
be
now?
A-holes. Here's a suggestion. Just
If
don't
you guys
be
would like to
a-holes.
call, the
Here's a
number's right
suggestion.
there on
Just
the
don't-
screen.
She's a bitch, right?
Don't leave
She's
me
a
to
bitch,
people like
right?
that.
She's a
I
bitch,
really enjoyed
right?
the first caller,
She's a
Jared.
bitch,
Jared, I don't want
right?
you to get me wrong.
She's a bitch, right?
I
She's
think
a bitch, right?
I think
She's a bitch,
he seemed to
right?
kind of understand
bitch,
where
right?
I come from.
She's a bitch,
I don't know if he was
right?
just being agreeable,
bitch,
and he
right?
was very nice about
She's
me
a bitch,
interrupting.
right?
But again, I
She's a
think
bitch,
it's very
right?
important
She's a bitch,
when we're discussing things
She's a
like
bitch, right?
you know,
She's a
war
bitch,
profiteers
right?
like Dick
She's a
Cheney,
bitch,
that
right?
they're not just
She's a bitch, right?
money
She's a bitch,
grubbing
right?
scumbags. They're not just
She's a
that.
bitch, right?
They're war profiteers.
bitch,
the most
right?
the most hideous form of evil on the planet. And those people have to be made examples of. Otherwise, it makes us all look like that. Looks like evil demons that Joe Biden, Joe Biden,
She's a
Liz
bitch,
Cheney, Dick
right?
Cheney, all
She's a
these
bitch,
people,
right?
All
She's a
these
bitch,
people.
right?
Nope, not that one. That one. Okay, so... and we can do so much better than that. We have good people in this country. We need to absolutely, number one, stop the professional political class. There should be not a single asshole up there in the House of Representatives for longer than 8 years. There should not be a single asshole up there. I'm sorry, war profiteering piece of garbage in the Senate for more than 8 years. I mean, this is how long they give the president. They say, oh, well, we can't have a president more than 8 years. Otherwise, it looks like a dictatorship. And that's what we see happening in the Congress. You know, whether it's a dictatorship on this side or a dictatorship on that side, they're all good buddies who, as much as they do theater to pretend for you that they are not friends and do not like each other, that would be mistaken to believe them. At least their theater, because they go out to lunch together. They're for martini lunch, and they come back, and they're all, "Hey, how you doing, bitch?" And you can see it. I mean, you can see it, especially after lunch. They're all shaking hands, and extra affectionate. It's disgusting. Especially when they're making rules about Americans, like that we're all, considered to be potential enemy combatants, and this is the reason that we have to spy on your 12-year-old daughter's cell phone, because not because we're perverts, because she's a potential enemy combatant, and you people, you parents, need to understand this. And that's what they do. That's who our government is. And that especially is who this House of Representatives is, who this so-called, the Senate is. They are the ones who pass these laws. They are the ones who say, okay, I'm good with the National Defense Authorization Act. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. The Patriot Act. Oh, how could I not support the Patriot Act? I'm a patriot. Aren't you a patriot? So how can you not support the Patriot Act? That's our government. And I know we can do better. That's all I'm saying. It's not really all I'm saying, but there's no doubt in my mind that we can do better. And I'd really like to see better. And it's not so much for me as for everyone. because the United States is fucking a lot of people around the world, and I'm tired of it being done in my name. I would think most of you are tired of that too. So let's watch a video, shall we? North Korea is threatening to Biden. I was just saying this. The sister of Kim Jong-un made a message clear to Joe Biden, Mr. President Joe Biden, that not to fuck with us. Who the fuck you think you're talking to? You know, and I kind of like that. So anyways, this is a little discussion about that, and I'll be right back. I'm going to go heat up my tea, and I'll be right back. And I thought you probably would want to see this. Plus, is a Kennedy clip in there, so you might like that.
In the meantime, tonight overseas now, and the new message from North Korea to the U.S. tonight. Kim Jong-un's sister saying that if the Biden administration, quote, wants to sleep in peace for the next 4 years, that they should refrain from causing trouble. This comes as new satellite imagery shows activity at a North Korean nuclear facility. Steam seen rising for the first time in years. A U.S. commander tonight warning North Korea may resume its missile testing.
All right, North Korea talking tough against the Biden administration, though surprisingly, they have yet to call our new president a dotard. Why are they saving that? Instead, the dictatress, Kim Yo-jong, who is Kim Jong-un's sister, she released a statement saying the U.S. better, quote, refrain from causing a stink at its first step. She was referring to the military drills the U.S. is holding with South Korea and is warning that North Korea could be provoked to use the long-range missiles it has been developing. They got a new, even longer one. It's like the go-go gadget missile. It's not good. So can we trust Biden to prevent a potentially devastating war? Here to discuss, former CIA officer and Portman Square Group chairman and CEO. There he is. Mike Baker is back. Welcome back, Baker.
There he is. Man, thank you very much. You know, the problem is once you come up with the clever dotard nickname, you can't really top it. So I think I imagine Kim Jong-un is just sitting at his desk right now, just going through all the possibilities before he can come up with a nickname for President Biden. But how do you beat dotard?
I don't know, man. I think you just give it the sequel. I think you just slap it around there like, yeah, you know what? If the dotard fits, we will not acquit.
Just wear it. Yeah. Well, this is very interesting. It's a serious statement. It comes from the dear leader's sister, who, by virtue of the fact that there's only one political party in North Korea, she's a very senior ranking member of that political party. And it basically is saber rattling. And if you recall, they essentially do this every time a new administration comes here in the U.S., right? And this time around, President Biden comes into office. And the statement basically coincides with, as you pointed out, an annual series of military exercises staged by South Korean military in the U.S. This year, it's computer simulations, right? So there is no smell of cordite coming across the border. But that gets them riled up. They are always agitated by this idea of military exercises, no matter how small they may be. And they have been scaled back over the past 2 or 3 years as a result of the conversations between President Trump and Kim Jong-un.
But now you have Antony Blinken and Lloyd Austin, our sex, deaf, and state in Tokyo, trying to shore things up with Japan in terms of China, because obviously Japan is very worried about Taiwan and about some of those man-made islands that China is trying to control. Can we go it alone with Japan and South Korea, or do we need China and North Korea?
Well, you always need to worry about the Chinese-North Korean relationship, right? I mean, the only country really with any serious, significant leverage over North Korea is China. So they are automatically a player in this game that goes on out in this region. Not to take it lightly by any means, but you've raised a good point. Again, people saying, well, why North Korea has been ignoring efforts by the U.S. to over the past year to get together. Why now are they coming out with this statement? And they're doing it in part also, as you point out, because the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Defense are in the region. And they made the statement just before they went to South Korea. They know what they're doing. Look, every time they feel as if they're being ignored, every time North Korea feels as if they're being ignored, they throw their teddy out of the crib, right? And there is this effort to get themselves back on the world stage and to remind people that they are, a brick shy of a load. So I wouldn't, again, I don't want to make it too light, but we have to always pay attention. But this is completely in keeping with their past performance and track record.
Is China doing the same thing, but on a grander scale? Like, are they throwing the polar bear out of the crib? Because China seems to be having tantrums of their own, and this propaganda that it's okay for them to commit genocide against Uyghurs, sterilize the men, and rape the women in their concentration camps, because they say France and the U.S. are doing the same thing. That's a load of hot garbage.
Oh my God! This is the most ridiculous, outrageous, disgusting, gross statement, and that's saying a lot coming from an official of the Chinese regime under Xi. This is the ambassador, the Chinese ambassador to the EU, basically trying to whitewash what's going on with the Uyghurs, which is, as you pointed out, genocide. Yes. By saying, look, it's no different than the U.S. or the U.K. Trying to de-radicalize jihadists. So we're just trying to do the same thing. We're all in this fight against terrorism together. You know what? But the difference being is we aren't engaged in forced sterilization. We aren't surveilling an entire population.
Facial recognition technology was developed to keep control of Uyghurs and keep track of them in Zhejiang. It's awful. And beyond what's happening in those camps, that we don't even know what's going on in there, because so many of those men die before they come out. All right, Mike Baker, we got to go. Well, hard break.
Okay.
But big love. Thank you so much, Baker. We'll see you very, very soon.
Sure. I hope so.
Coming up, but you will. California Governor Gavin Newsom
chose not to run for re-election for his city council seat in 2019 and briefly served as acting mayor in 2017 when Ed Murray resigned. Harrell says he's also concerned about the ongoing destructive protests in Seattle, impacting neighborhoods as well as the business community. He knows this is something he will likely inherit if he becomes mayor. KOMO's Jonathan Cho is live in Seattle with more on that. Jonathan?
Yeah, Mary, Bruce Harrell would not go as far to say this would become one of his central campaign.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to play the clip. I meant to play this clip. They're right next to each other. So what I was saying is that guy said, we're not surveilling an entire nation. Right? He said that like right before we ended that clip. He said, we're not surveilling an entire nation. And right before that clip played, I told you the exact opposite thing. I told you that 12-year-olds are being surveilled. Everything they do online, everything they put on their Facebook, every private text message they send is gathered up and put within a file with their name on it. They're not surveilling an entire nation. They're surveilling the entire world. Every little bit of it they possibly can. And that's what the facts are. And that's the reason that the whole world is looking at us cross-eyed. Like, how much worse is this going to get? Because what I keep hearing is a lot of saber rattling. A lot of saber rattling with China. A lot of saber rattling with Russia, with Iran. I'm hearing it a lot. I'm hearing the drums of war beginning to get louder and louder. And all we need is another little spark. All we need is another little spark. And next thing you know, we're all marching into war. Just like we did with Iraq and Afghanistan. Another generation of our children sent off to give their lives for a war based on lies. For the only reason is to make people like Dick Cheney and Liz Cheney more rich and more rich and more rich, like they don't already have enough money. And to soil the good name of America. I've told you guys this the other day. One of the main purposes of this, like they say, how could they be so horrible at people besides the money part, to wreck the good name of America? Because that's a big part of their plan. Because when they open the FEMA camps, the re-education camps, the happy joy camps, when they open the happy joy camps, one of the things that's going to happen is that the people of America, when we go into martial law and they open the re-education camps, because you can't say stuff like that about 9/11. That's poisoning the minds of our entire community. If you keep talking like that, you're dangerous to the entire world. So you can't say things like that, and we have to make that clear to you when they open the re-education camps, so that you think correctly. The American people are going to scream out to the world, please help us. And the rest of the world is going to go, no, you people are horrible. You get what you deserve. Hello, caller.
Hello, Michael. This is Steve McClanahan. How are you doing tonight, Michael?
I am good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Right on.
You know, I got to thinking earlier, you know, we haven't had, you know, a lot of time together because I have really bad cell phone service, Michael.
Uh-huh.
And yes, and my phone calls continue to get disconnected, and I want to apologize for that.
Uh-huh.
I should have better signal.
Okay.
Michael. So I just wanted to call and let you know that I'm available to talk right now, live, on the line, for the next 47 minutes. I've got about 47 minutes of time. I am available to talk to you, Michael.
Uh-huh.
We've got a lot of breaking news. We can go over this.
Uh-huh.
Where do you want to start, Michael? I've got a lot of notes here. I've got a lot of breaking fucking news.
The legalization of cannabis in Mexico? Let's start there.
Okay, so Mexico has, in fact, grown marijuana way before I was even born, and they were shipping it into the United States by the tons. So technically, I feel like it's borderline already was legal. This is breaking fucking news that, in fact, they just legalized it.
Well, have you ever been to Mexico?
Yes, I was there getting to the bottom of the fucking goddamn coronavirus. I went to the fucking goddamn legit corona factory where they make Corona. Okay, I went there. Okay, I was trapped. Security, all kinds of shit. Broke out, fucking made it. Bing, bang, boom. It's been rough out here at the journalist, Michael.
Sounds like it.
I mean, this one's a real easy one to solve.
Which one?
Fucking marijuana has been legal in Mexico forever. And for some reason, today, it's breaking fucking news. Mexico fucking legalized marijuana. Really? Really? All of a sudden today, they just gonna let everybody know, hey, well, we're here in Mexico. We got marijuana legal now. What? Really? It's always been legal in fucking Mexico, as far as I've known. Tell you what, who the fuck did... I swear to God, Reggie is making a comeback. Ladies and gentlemen, breaking fucking news. You can actually sift through some seeds and stems again.
I think that they probably grow pretty good weed in Mexico. Just with it being illegal, they don't have, in the United States, they don't have to ship real good weed across the border. They can keep that stuff for themselves.
I tell you what they do is they fuck it all up by shoving it in the fucking tires and shit. That's what's all fucked up about it. And I guarantee you that if you smoke some marijuana out of a tire, It's gonna fuck your ass up. Guaranteed. From Mexico, legit. It's probably like at least 2 or 3 years old. So it's got a little age to it. And I swear to God, guaranteed, it's gonna fire your ass up. And I'm not even joking. Seed stems, everything. Buzz flower, fucking oil, shit. You put it underneath a press and then bing, bang, boom. You got some of the most fucking exotic fucking oil you've ever seen in your fucking life. Breaking fucking news.
Good. I always liked the Colombian gold. I always thought that was pretty good. The Acapulco gold. I don't really remember Acapulco gold, but I had this Colombian gold like 1978, and it fucking knocked me on my ass. I can tell you that for sure.
You had weed from 1978?
No, I had weed in 1978.
You actually lived in the year 1978?
Yep.
Holy shit, dude. That is fucking epic, bro. That is fucking... that is some old shit right there. That literally is like being like turn of the century age, dude. I think. I don't know. Maybe.
Obviously.
Yeah. Whatever. You know, people look. I didn't know y'all fucking lived that long. Shit. Jesus Christ. That's fucking breaking news right there.
I would bet you. I would bet. No offense, that Steve McClanahan will not live that long. So you know.
What?
Huh?
What? All right. So, Michael. Oh my God, that was shocking. Shocking news right there. Holy fucking shit! I didn't realize that you're using a walker. How old are you exactly? Like 92? 92. That's a good age. That's a fine wine right there. That is a fine wine, Michael. Michael, what other breaking fucking news do you want me to cover right now that you got?
It's okay. We're good. I gotta go. I gotta go.
Dude, I got another fucking 40 minutes.
I don't think so.
Come on, dude. I really do.
There is no way that's gonna happen.
You let the landlord talk for like 49 minutes.
He hasn't even called.
He hasn't called today, son of a bitch. I know he's over there sitting down, fucking smoking cigarettes and shit, fucking probably bitching to himself about a bunch of shit. I guarantee it. Let's talk about the landlord. I swear to God, love that guy.
I gotta go.
I would like to be one of his tenants, for sure. I really would. Would you?
I bet that's not true. I gotta go. I gotta go. I gotta go. I got another caller. I got another caller.
Oh, bullshit.
I got another call. I gotta go.
You got another caller.
Yes.
Fucking landlord.
All right.
Goddamn.
It's nice. It's nice to hear from you.
I'm calling you back later.
I thought you only had 40 minutes. Bye.
Son of a bitch, how do you fucking hang this shit up? Lord. Been doing the fucking Lord album, and this is fucking what I get? Jesus Christ.
All right. Apparently he hung up right before I did. Let's see. I'm seeing so much military shit, man. It's just getting worse and worse. Okay, I do have a story about the fencing in Washington, D.C. coming down, at least a little bit. not the whole thing. Hello, caller.
Hey, Mike, it's Dave from New York. I'm calling to start the Steve McClanahan lottery death wish number. I think maybe 62 might be my number. I'm going to pick 62.
Okay, that's a good idea. We should start a poll. Or a pool.
If Steve's going to put it out there and, I'm cool with 62.
Yeah. How's it going, Dave?
It's going pretty good. Well, actually, it's not going like super good, but it's okay. You have to stabilize when you live in New York because every day is another day of fighting. Like everything is a major battle. Whereas I'm reading, like where you are in Washington State, there's 50 states. We all got different stuff. Washington State, man, looks pretty free. It feels good. Like, I think that's like half the reason I even listen to your show is because you guys live in Washington.
I've always said that it's the Northwest is a better quality of life.
It definitely is. I mean, I'm always open to everything, and I try to, absorb everything I'm hearing and saying, well, what's this, what's that. There's a ton of stuff about the state of Washington that is just beautiful. And
I think it was just I think it was just rated the #1 state in the country to live. Also,
exactly. Yeah. And I saw that, and I always pay attention to those things because a lot of times they're done by realtors trying to sell property, and they can pay for
whatever kind of poll they want.
Actually, the ads are actually disguised as articles, and sometimes those. But I think that one actually might have been pretty close because I've been tracking for a lot of years. I paid very close attention to all the real estate stuff, and I'm saying, man, if you're just a person that just wants a piece of land in a beautiful place, and maybe it's not super accessible, maybe you got, some transportation issues if you're a traveler, but if you just want to settle down or if you just want to be in a beautiful place and you have the ability to travel beyond what society might offer you, Washington is a great place. I was dropped off in Moses Lake back in, I think it was 1985. I was dropped off in Moses Lake, Washington. 3 days before I was supposed to be there, and it turned into a kerfluffle where I couldn't find a place to stay. I had to hitchhike into town. The airlines that flies you there comes from Seattle, and they had to fly across the Cascades, and they call it Crashcades Airlines. That back then, that was the nickname, was Crashcade Airlines. And because when the plane is coming over the giant chasms, it drops in, it just, and you go way down, and then you go, and you go way back up. And this was a day where there was 50-mile-an-hour crosswinds. They were trying to land. Holy shit, took 3 tries. The woman in front of me was, at least 60, 70 years old. I don't know, but she was an older woman. She was the only other woman on the flight with me. It was a 10-seater. And I was trying to keep her calm, and, we're flying in these crosswinds. It was crazy. And, I got off the plane, and it's like, okay, see you later, gotta go, and they take off. It's like, holy shit, this guy's got balls. And there I am standing in the middle of Moses Lake Airport. Nobody's around. So my experience with Washington is that half of the state is this, like, flat, desert place, and the other half is this beautiful mountainous forever land where some famous guy, I can't remember his name, jumped out of an airplane with a bunch of cash. But it's a beautiful, beautiful state, and they have beautiful laws. They have beautiful people. I never met anybody from there that I didn't like. The whole persona of the place is fantastic. And it's just an escape from where I live in New York. It doesn't matter where you live in New York. It's just everything's always contentious. There's a fight like here. It's like every place you go, no matter even if you live in a small town, it's like, blah, 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 it's like everybody's just against everybody else. It's just I don't know what, I don't know how to describe it. It's just a contentious place.
No, I always feel that way when I go to like Los Angeles or Southern California. You can really feel it there. It's just like, it's almost like everybody's just waiting for something bad to happen.
Yeah, like oh, yeah, like there's this tension.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't get that from Oregon or Washington. And I don't get it from, I don't know. You can get away here in upstate New York. You can get away. I've managed to do that. I always seek it out. But if I can't find it here, if I seek it out here and can't find it here, nobody can.
How long before they legalize weed in New York?
Oh, Jesus. Again, it's like this. I think if they get rid of Como, and by the way, it's so hard to have the conversation here because anytime you say anything about anybody, it's like you're with those guys. It's like, no, I'm not with anybody. I'm just with this, like I got a certain thing I'd like to see. It doesn't matter who's, I don't know about sides. I really don't. But if they get rid of Como, it's gonna unclog like this major blockage in a drain because he's connected to a whole bunch of people that keep everything clogged up here. And they want to make sure that anything that happens, they're going to make money from it. They're going to stay in the corporatocracy control of it.
From what I understand, Cuomo is probably the number one thing that stands in the way of cannabis legalization in Europe.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even say him personally. It's like he's the personification of it, sure. But
hasn't there been like the option for him to sign it into law for some time now, and he keeps fucking putting it off?
Oh yeah. So what's happening here is, and this is the last I checked. I can't say it's up to date as of today, but the last I checked, in order to get a license to grow weed in New York, you have to apply for these different licenses, just like you would for like casinos and shit. So what that means is they're filtering the people that they want.
Yeah.
And so in order to do that, that opens up a huge economic opportunity to make a ton of money from a lot of people that for a fact are not going to be able, you're never going to give these people a license, but you can give them the opportunity and the hope to make it by charging them $40,000 or $100,000 for a license and selling them all kinds of equipment and shit that, you put in your specifications of what they have to pass in order to get that license. So they've turned it into a major monetary issue where it shouldn't be a monetary issue. It should be a justice issue. If you turn it into a justice issue, tomorrow it would be legal in New York because right now I think New Jersey legalized it, right?
I think they did just legalize, yeah. But they voted to legalize like 10 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, the people, the people of New York.
Yeah. Of New
If you're
Jersey.
gonna-
Of New Jersey. Yeah.
Yeah, in New Jersey. But even just like if you were to take the pulse of the people of New York, I think you would find that 90%, and I'm not being, that's not, I don't think I'm being, you know, overly exaggerating in that number. I think 90% of all New Yorkers would vote to legalize recreational marijuana as much as you want to grow and as much as you want to do and do whatever you want tomorrow.
What should be happening is there should be farmers markets everywhere, every little town across the United States, and there should be numerous people there selling weed if that's what they want to do. You know, this is my farm. Yeah. This is what I grow on my farm, and I'm proud of it. You know.
Yeah, and not just weed like that that we smoke, or not just weed that does the produces the flowers, but hemp itself. Like, this state would be very good for growing any kind of hemp at all, like for clothing, for all the different things that hemp does. So there's no reason to not do it other than the courts and the money that they make with all of this. And that's what I see. And now that they know, they're faced with the fact that, look, we're going to have to do this, because if New Jersey legalizes it, they can just take it across the bridge.
Well, we're just surrounded, man. I mean, Mexico legalized, Canada legalized. What's the problem here? You know, are we not understanding what century it is we live in, or what's the deal? I don't get it, you know.
Well, I'll be real curious to watch what Canada does with their legalization as opposed to Mexico. And it is very interesting that Mexico, if Mexico legalizes weed,
they have legalized
here in New York. I can't speak for the western part of the United States. I know that, like, if I have been through Arizona and New Mexico, but if you've been through New Mexico or Arizona, you might get like really good weed that comes from Mexico. But up here in New York, if you get weed that comes from Mexico, it's really crappy. Like it's what we call dirt weed.
When I was in high school, I lived in this little town on the coast, I went to high school at Morro Bay High School, and like pretty much all the weed that came into California from the water came into that little town. So it was quite a selection we had.
Yeah, so you got good stuff too, though, from like from Mexico.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I was saying earlier that I had this Colombian gold that I'll never forget.
Oh.
It had seeds and stuff, but it was this gold color, and it just fucking blow you away, dude.
I had a conversation the other day about Thai stick.
Yeah, I think I was talking to you about Thai sticks the other day.
Yeah, and the incredible thing about Thai stick was it came into upstate New York like in the mid and late 70s during the Vietnam War. And what an interesting thing that Thai stick was incredibly identifiable. Like, you don't see, you could get a bag of weed and they'd say, oh, this is Colombian, or it's Panamanian, or it's Panama Red, or
right.
And you wouldn't know. It could be grown in the place right next door to you, and you wouldn't know it. But Thai stick.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, like you're saying, though, I agree that Thai stick is easily, readily available. I mean, not available, but identifiable. It doesn't look like anything else. But, I mean, we used to get a lot of Humboldt. I lived in California, and we get this Humboldt weed, which that's all we called it. There wasn't another weird word for it. It was, it's the Humboldt, man. You know, it's just like big fat green nugs, you know. And it was as good as it got. So, and the Thai sticks were amazing. And I mean, I didn't get a lot of Thai stick, but I definitely got one or two. And I used to get some small ones that they weren't as good as the big ones. The big ones were just like, I could only take 2 puffs off a big Thai stick joint. I was just like, so. I would highly recommend it if you get a chance. I see them being made now. I see them in the rec stores. So somebody's making Thai sticks and they're like putting them in glass and stuff, and they're actually like infusing them with high grade hash oil and stuff like that. So it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, back in the day, the Thai stick was so identifiable because it actually came with a stick.
Yeah.
And that stick was a particular brand of, I don't know if it was bamboo or whatever, but there was a stick. It actually was a stick in the middle of the bud.
Yeah.
And it held it, and you would get 3 or 4 of them, or however many you would get.
You get a quarter ounce. You get a quarter ounce. You get a half ounce. That's what you get.
Yeah, like you could identify
when I got the one that was like the size of a quarter or so, like the diameter of a quarter, like a normal coin. It weighed. It was about 4 inches long or 5 inches long. It weighed a quarter ounce. So. Very
I don't
good.
know if I ever saw you that big. We would get, of course, upstate New York. We're the last. Like, we don't get shrimp. Like, we don't get fresh shrimp. We didn't get fresh shrimp until IQF came into being, where they individually quick froze it and could ship it frozen immediately on the shore. So anything in New York that you get upstate, I'm saying, I can't speak for New York City because everything comes in there, but in the upstate, everything that comes here has to have longevity in shipping, and it has a lag time, and but Thai stick to get here is, that's a crazy thing. That means that the amount of Thai stick that would have to be coming over the border in order to reach here, in order for me to go to a guy and say, hey, I'd like I'd like an ounce of Thai stick. In order for that to even happen, requires like a shit ton of Thai stick to be coming to this country. Like, major.
Yeah, it's not that it's not highly in demand or whatever, or highly sought after. So, yeah, I hear what you're saying. I get it. I gotta take a break though, Dave. It's good to hear from you. I'm glad you're still around. I look forward to talking to you again soon.
All right, Mike.
All right, I'm going to play this video about the legalization of cannabis in Mexico so that we all understand what's going on, and I think you will like it. I'll be right back.
Marijuana is becoming more and more mainstream. Just last week, lawmakers in Mexico, approved a bill to legalize recreational marijuana in that country, Mexico, not New Mexico. U.S.-based cannabis companies are already looking at Europe as the next potential growth market. Joining me now to talk about the future of the cannabis industry is Jared Mirsky. He's the CEO and founder of Wick and Mortar. So, Jared, thanks for being with us. Mexico's legalization came pretty quickly, considering it just started to be decriminalized in 2009. How will that impact the U.S.?
Well, it's hard to say, but I do feel like what it will do is start to push the U.S. closer towards legalizing, simply because, Mexico is huge. And when you look at the market there, they have a massive growth potential. And when looking at a lot of these brands that are starting to shape themselves as more of a brand house or CPG model, you'll notice that they're starting to segue into other countries like the UK, Canada, and other places. So, it's just a matter of time before brands here in the U.S. start to seek, strategies out in Mexico as well themselves.
Is it possible they could grow a lot more of it in Mexico as a result? How might that impact the U.S.?
Well, the thing is that cannabis and CBD very soon will ultimately become a commodity, no different than cacao is to, Hershey's chocolate. So at a point, brands are going to have to start to get far more niche as it relates to the products that they develop. Cannabis in itself, especially after the U.S. goes federally legal, border crossing is going to occur with respect to brands and distribution. So, when you look at the big boys that are already investing millions and millions of dollars into these big manufacturing facilities, they're going to push all the smaller farmers out. So it's going to be a matter of brand IP and intellectual property that has a very niche goal and purpose.
How big do you think this industry could become?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, when you look at cannabis as a whole, you have to consider the fact that there are so many other divisions at play. You've got recreational, medical, and wellness, but you also have this textile market, and you also have building materials. So when you consider the growth potential and opportunity, it's really honestly hard to say, because we're looking at a market that is still very much in its infancy stage. And I started, almost 13 years ago.
Can you believe where we are right now? I mean, dispensaries pretty much all over, friends just casually talking about gummies.
It's crazy because, when I started 13 so years ago, farmers were living in the shadows, and, cannabis brands were really only starting to become a thing through the retail environment. It wasn't until I started designing packaging for dispensaries that cultivators were like, oh, well, what you're saying is I can make more money by prepackaging my products. So it's been a very, very crazy road over the.
All right, so I think it's a good time for a bong hit. So nice. All right, so I think this guy was saying the same kind of thing that I say again and again. Is this industry, this cannabis industry, is just in its infancy, and it could be making so many things happen, so many renewable resources, so easily renewable. He was talking about textiles. He was talking about building materials. We'd never have to cut down another tree. I know. The Donald Trump supporters think the trees start the fires, but trees don't start fires. So it would be nice to have the option not to have to cut down trees. We wouldn't have to drill for oil. Again, these cars, the Mercedes-Benz engine can run on cannabis oil. Cannabis oil made from cannabis seeds. Cannabis seeds being all kinds of foods can be made out of cannabis seeds, and they have nutrients in them, from what I understand, that you can't get anywhere else. So this is, like he said, something in its infancy. Imagine all the medicines that could be made once we actually say, okay, it's okay to study this medicine. It's okay to study this resource for medicine. It's not okay to, if you do that now, you know what happens? Any potential grants that you might get, nope, no, and never again. Hello, caller.
Hello, it's Rupert.
What's up, Rupert?
Not much, man. First of all, I'll tell you one thing that's up. You have one tight back line with the man producing the show. He's running a tight ship back there. He's got a good sense of humor. That's a good dude. Like that guy.
Yeah, he adds a lot to the show, so we're very lucky to have Craig.
Here's a suggestion. Just
Okay,
don't
so
be
the next
a-holes.
thing.
Here's a
I don't even-
suggestion. Just don't be
I'm here with my
a-holes.
friend. We're listening.
Here's a suggestion.
And I'm
Just
chatting in the
don't-
chat room, but everybody seems like we have a good time. What's up, chat room? I'm actually watching the chat room. We were over here just sort of laughing at it. Just radio is funny. You never know what's gonna happen. So we were just kind of clowning on the callers that had called in earlier, and if I had gotten on immediately, I was just gonna. I was real hot there for a second to just start roasting people, but your backline guy being so nice and stuff, it kind of put me in a little bit of better mood. So
Here's a
I don't think I'm gonna do that.
Just don't be a-holes.
We're just here. We're just
don't
trying to
be
have a
a-holes.
conversation,
Here's a
honestly.
suggestion.
And
Just
some of the
don't be
people are
a-holes.
very funny.
Here's a suggestion.
Yeah,
Just
I mean,
don't
some of
be
the people really want to be comedians. There's no doubt about it. So, and I'm not saying that you're saying that you are a comedian.
Yes, sir.
Right on. Do you have a YouTube channel or something?
I do, sir.
What is it?
If you just go to Twitter at Rupert Wins, and if you type in "Hi, it's Rupert" on YouTube, you'll find my channel.
Right on. That's awesome.
So I've been a Mox News fan for a long time, and I like the discussion. I like that sometimes it's nice. Sometimes I want to watch Breaking Bad. Sometimes I don't want to have panic attacks when I'm hot. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit. We only know about the legend of the tie stick. Listening to you older fellas talk about the tie sticks, that's like listening to people talk about going to Woodstock. It's like, wow, I've seen pictures of that shit.
I was lucky. Like I said, I only got like one of them that was, a big fat tie stick, in my life. And it was I could only take 2 puffs off of it, and I was just like destroyed. I mean, in a good way, like, walking around all floaty and shit like that, But there was no way I was gonna do more than that.
Dude, I thought it was BS. I thought it was all like crazy pothead stories, and then I saw one of them, and I was like, "Oh yeah, whatever that thing is right there, that does look like it'll mess you up. That right, whatever that is, yeah."
That's the shit. I see him in the dispensaries now a little bit. It's very rare, but I'm certain they're not coming from Thailand. I know that for sure.
Well, the other thing, this will dovetail. I'll work backwards into. I was actually preparing a couple of things while I was waiting. I figured I would stay busy while I was on hold, and let's talk about marijuana distribution or cannabis distribution. I kind of like saying the word marijuana, but I don't like its connotation.
I like saying it too, but I like saying it marijuana.
Oh, you're going to say the J in there. Do you also say fajitas, sir? Do you go get the steaming loud fajitas over there at the Applebee's?
That sounds pretty good.
Right? After a tie stick? After you calm down a little bit? So anyway, the gentleman that was talking about the distribution of the tie sticks, I want to think that he's right in that the fact that he was seeing it in such a strange place would mean that it was flooded. But I wanted to disagree immediately, but I think maybe we're both right. There's a good chance that some dude was having an easy time with the CIA or whoever and was like,
right,
some kid was doing something. But
that's exactly right. It's a matter of what.
Well, no,
it's a matter.
The flip side of the coin is.
It's a matter of. I'm just saying, it's a matter of what circles you run in. Really, if you're in those circles.
That's the other thing I was going to say. Like,
yeah.
Sometimes you're in a lucky spot. I've always found out that the best pot that I've ever smoked announces itself before it's even off the
I have some right now.
We're saving our money.
I have some right now, and when I get up in the morning or when I get up out of bed, it's like it's about. Right at head level, right? And I walk past it, and it's all jarred up in a jar, and I just like, holy shit. And every time I walk by it, I'm like thinking, did I leave some weed sitting out or something? But no, it's just really, really good.
Hell yeah. So I've grown weed in Humboldt. Y'all were talking about Humboldt. I've grown weed out there. I've grown weed in another country that I won't
In
I don't
Humboldt,
identify because I don't. What?
in Humboldt, there's some really amazing people up there growing, right? I mean,
Are you talking about the people that grow weed?
yeah, they're like old school, like 50-year-old farms and shit, right?
Oh, buddy, I hate to tell you this, but the fact of the matter for those guys out there is the only reason that they're allowed to stand is because they've been out there forever. That place is horrifying.
Huh.
I wanted to talk about this a little bit and not bitch too much, but just say one thing. In dealing with the plants, I learned a lot about plants and other plants and a lot about myself. And the one thing that I found out in the months that I was out there doing this in the past bit, and also in the other country that I won't name, that pot plants are very sensitive and they pick up everything from their environment.
Yeah.
They soak it up. So if you have a bunch of shaky-handed meth heads who are murdering each other and fighting, you're smoking their trauma, and I think that's part of the reason that people are having panic attacks more on pot now, because the trade is heating up, and so is the violence surrounding it. So I've had someone make me my own strain.
Yeah. Awesome. What's it called?
We're naming it now. We're having it tested, and we're naming it. And the person that ended up taking the seeds, I don't even know their name, but the person who grew it, it was assured to me that they were the opposite of the Murder Mountain meth heads. I got kicked off of Facebook for saying mongoloid, so I won't say mongoloid. Oh, I just said it twice. And I just got 30 days Zuck for posting a political cartoon, so I feel like really watching my mouth.
Sorry to hear.
What we're going to do is we're going to I'm not trying to plug, but I want to help. Like, if you can handle rapper weed that sticks you to the ceiling and makes you see monsters, go for it. But if you're a lawyer who can only smoke at Christmas and you don't want to smoke Mexican, like smelly, like weird weed that you can't find anyway, I'm trying to come up with a CBD rich, THC medium. Nice, like, dude, ever since I got my first bag of this, I don't want anything else. I've not had any, like, weed-related panic attacks whatsoever. And I really feel like I hit the nail on the head by identifying the problem and then coming up with a solution. And I want to help people who can't smoke pot all the time smoke pot. Because if you smoke it all the time, you can handle that. But if you take a couple of months off and you come back to it, sometimes that it can jar you.
I find the same thing about edibles a lot. Is that if you stop for a couple of months and then you have a big one that's really good, you're like everybody's FBI and you're like, fucking shit, man. But I agree with you. I think that when you grow pot, and this is part of the reason why I don't particularly care for what's in the dispensaries, and I've told you guys this again and again, is I'd much rather buy it what my neighbor grows, or grow it myself, is because...
Hey, dude, you just said a mouthful. Go ahead and finish. I can't wait to tell you the next part.
What I was saying is that I believe that the when you grow your own, that the weed actually, like, you connect with it in a way where it grows specifically for what your needs are. You know?
Exactly, bro. Yes.
Yeah.
The girl that I'm sitting in the room with just stuck her arms up in the air because she's so happy with you.
All right, on.
So the deal is we've been doing paperwork and talking it out and really I'm launching several brands that will benefit charities, and one of the services that I'm going to be providing specifically for the Northern Virginia area first, because that's what I have access to. And let's face it, those people live in one of the richest counties in the damn country. And when they get let off the leash and find out about this wheat thing, two things are going to happen. Money is going to fly, and they are going to be inundated with absolute trash. So
I agree.
I'm going to cut the dealers out, and I've started. It's called Your Home Grow. It's at Your Home Grow on Facebook. I can help you remotely, or I can come to your house, or we can work this out. So exactly what you just said, dude. You grow your pot and don't stress it out with chemicals. and you be nice to it, sing to it, play frivolity, and party around it, talk to it, and it will do for you things that you needed it to do that you didn't even know needed to be done.
I believe that wholeheartedly. I really do. I think that it's some it like identifies with you. It's like it imprints on you, or you imprint on it. You know, and it says and it feels your love, like you're saying. It feels with the other people who are just growing it for money, and they're all fucking messed up and killing each other. It's imprinting on them, like you're saying. And their negativity, and that's again why I much prefer. I think it's a big part of why I haven't thought of it in those terms in particular before, but because I've just thought it's because the people are doing it mainly for money, and they're doing it, rushing it, and they're feeding it all these chemicals. They know that it will rush it.
Let me tell you something.
But I'm just saying
I almost died.
Go ahead.
I almost died to get a picture. It was, trust me, I was under surveillance by these people constantly. It almost killed me. I got a shot of one of the plants that I was growing that I became obsessed with. I want to get an email address from you so I can show you that its name was Princess Leia. And nice. I built an entire empire in my head on it, and I didn't get to finish growing it.
Oh, I hate it when that happens. That's the kind of
off the project.
Is kind of the worst when you work so hard to get it there, and then it's almost there, and you're like, oh no. There's my email in the chat if you're looking for my email.
Okay, thank you. I'll snatch that up. So far in unsolicited plug territory, we've got @RupertWins and Grow, and we'll keep it at that.
I kind of solicited your YouTube page, so we're clear.
Oh, well, go ahead. Listen, I would like to take this opportunity in front of all the listeners to say that I would consider Hyatt's Rupert a partner with Mox News. You've been so nice. You've been so nice to me, and I have such a nice time stopping by.
Well, you know what I'm really interested, Rupert, is I'm interested in your business, and that maybe we can somehow partner there, where you help guide my grow to be more successful, and in doing so help other people. But then I can also let people know about your website and stuff. You know what I mean?
I would happily trade you what I know about what I've done, and you can apply that to what you already know, and I would be happy for you to shout me out on your show. That's great. Hey, let's everybody at home give a round of applause for the we got 2 claps going on here. Everybody at home clap, because we can't hear you, but you're clapping anyway. That's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. I'm all about. Look, I love cannabis. I love the cannabis community. You're a breeder, from what you're telling me, and one of the things that I love the breeders, right? I reach out to a lot of the breeders, and they're not like the people that are like growing the weed and then getting top dollar for it, for the flowers. These guys are like the scientists who are breeding like flavors and all these different things, right? And I reach out to them, and I'm telling you, they're like the nicest people in the business from what I can see. Not all, but most of them reach back, and they're really positive, and they're like, yeah, how can I help, and I have so much genetics, dude. You have no idea.
I want to know all about it. You can tell me all about it later. That's fantastic, and it makes me sad that some of those old school guys have the conditions that they have out where they are. It's unfortunate, and we can work with. It's hard to, but you can work with local California government to try to. But if you've watched Murder Mountain, and you know that pot is sensitive, that should scare you. You don't know what you're smoking. You don't know what these people are channeling in these research chemicals that they take, and Flocka and all of this stuff. I mean, these people were seriously they look like they drank blood.
Yeah, no,
it looks like they ate people.
I just had my neighbor bring over some Girl Scout cookies, and and he was all, yeah, I grew it myself, and it's all organic, and he was really excited that I was getting. It's been a while since I got any weed from him because I've been growing my own, or at least trying to get there, and so I've had a little supply that has lasted me for a while. And but he was really happy. He wanted to make sure that I knew that he grew it himself, and I love that. You know what I mean? It's like when you're proud of something like that.
Yes, sir. And another thing that I'm proud of is the fact that I have taken my cannabis growing skills and honed them to couple with the spicy pepper plant of many varieties. And
Nice.
I grow very beautiful peppers. And this year I'm processing them into themed sauces based on the color of the peppers. And I also have a business that does this. And we are going to blend the two businesses and make a hot sauce that also gets you really fucking high.
I love that idea. I eat so much sriracha, dude. You have no idea.
And guess what? Let me tell you something, buddy. We are going to make the bottles so cute that girls can't help but buy them. And the girls are going to love hot sauce, and the bottles are going to be so cute. You should see the cute bottles, dude. It's great.
That sounds awesome, dude. It's a great idea. And I'm so happy to hear stuff like that because, it's like you're trying to make something good happen in the world that's going to benefit a lot of people, it sounds like to me.
Thank you for recognizing that, and thank you for validating some of my ideas. I really think that's great, and basically all I need to do is see a picture of the plant and get kind of a rough idea of what you're doing to it. And they'll tell you sometimes they need seaweed, sometimes the soil needs molasses, believe it or not. There's certain things that go in at certain times, and it's kind of fascinating.
Yeah, I'm just gonna use a tea. I'm gonna use like a pre, whatever they call it, where there's all the stuff you need in the soil already. I'm gonna use like Fox Farm, and then I'm just gonna use a tea that has like bat guano and sea kelp and fish bones and crab shells.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
And some molasses.
Good stuff.
Some molasses and some fish emulsion. So that's about it.
I've got a little thing I'm doing this year, and I really appreciate that. I just got one more thing.
What you got?
What I got. So I've been working, I've been coupling and actually starting relationships with a few well-known individuals in the entertainment world whose names I will keep close to the chest for now. I will maybe look forward to revealing some of this stuff exclusively first on Fox News because my nickname is Fox. The sauce is Fox related. This is all meant to be, sir. This is all meant to be. But what I wanted to say was, when you're done watching Fox News for the day and you've done your part by posting the links and being a good listener and making sure that more listeners have a chance to listen, go over to Netflix when you get a chance. There's a series over there called The Last Dance. Now, I know a lot of us aren't sports fans. I'm a sports player, but I don't sit around. I don't like the people that do that. I don't like the people that sit around and watch sports. So I can't do that. I'll watch it by myself and write, or I'll go outside and play. But this documentary shows us the last final season of Michael Jordan's career with the Chicago Bulls. And they use that as sort of a launching point to talk about what happened. What were we really witnessing when we were watching that man make us all think he was Superman? And it made me feel 14 years old again, listening to Michael give his wisdom about how he handles competition and how he handles himself in anticipation of competition. Now, I can't be Michael Jordan. I can't dunk a ball. But I can do some of the things that same man did. And this documentary is really, it's a great thing for the NBA to have under its belt and for people to refer to. It raises their visibility in the market and it makes them worth a lot more. And Michael Jordan probably increased the value of the NBA by at least a 0 or 2. I mean, he was a phenomenon.
Yeah.
And
everybody still knows who he is.
Just real quick. Sorry, I'm kind of rambling here,
Yeah.
but go watch this and take some notes and try to apply it to your life. I promise you that you will have some positive results, because I'm much more focused now, and I'm able to come to you with all these cool ideas that were sitting on the vine, and I plucked them off and started polishing them up, and there you go. Bob's your uncle.
All right. Well, Michael Jordan is an awesome figure, and everybody still knows who he is, and I think they will for a long, long time. And I recommend the movie Bronze. It's about an Olympic gymnast, and it's really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, dude, I'm going to bounce. Thank you so much for having me on again. Thank you all for listening. Thanks for being awesome participants in the chat room. At Rupert Wins on Twitter. I will talk to you all later. Thank you, bro.
Okay, Rupert, I look forward to talking again soon.
You too, man. See you, bud.
See ya. All right, so let's see. We played the Mexico legalization. Did we play the North Korea one? I think we played the North Korea one. Let's see. If we didn't play the North Korea one, please let me know. I have a couple of videos about protesters in Portland, and I have a video about a police shooting that just took place. I think it just took place. They were, or the video was just released of a body cam where a car is trying to drive away when police are trying to stop them, and it shows the cops, like the car kind of trying to swerve away from the cops, like not hit the cops, and the cops all open fire on him and kill the dude, and saying that they were, that he was trying to run them over and shit. So I have that video, and I have a video about the Capitol Hill fencing coming down. So, do you have a caller? Yeah, go. And we have a caller, apparently. So, I will play those videos for you momentarily. Aha! Hello?
Did we get the transfer for Chris?
No.
Oh, shit. All right, let me see what happened. Hang up. We'll get him on there just a minute.
I like the echo. I didn't want to hang up. It was echoing in my whole body. Did you guys get that? Let's try again. Hello, caller.
Hey, Mike. How are you doing tonight?
I am fine. How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing well. The weather has been amazing. I'm really excited about the warm weather and the transition to spring. Hasn't been raining as much.
It's a nice day today, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's been a beautiful day. I got a chance to actually start my garden today.
Awesome.
So I planted my seeds today.
I was thinking about that. I was thinking, man, I should start putting seeds, flowers outside. And I was like, no, not yet. I'm waiting for April 20th, honestly.
No, that's prudent. I mean, it's a little early. I'll have to put some cover over them, but I've been looking at the low temperatures as a gardener. I've been looking at the low temperatures, every night I always look at the weather forecast. And it kind of looks like here in, South Puget Sound, at least where I live, the freezing temperature is over 32 degrees, for the next 10 days. And, we'll see. The weather changes, but that's the key factor, with starts. You don't want little plants out in the cold or they'll die.
That's pretty much I'm the plants that I'm gonna grow are auto flowers, and they're all supposed to be done in 90 days, although I expect some of them to take more 115 or 120 days. But that's still, if I start them on, that's their full cycle from starting seeds until they're ready to harvest. And if I start them on April 20th and they take 120 days, that's finished by August. So is that August, or let's see, May, June, July?
It'll be
August,
ready by August, but I mean, the light, you'll have enough light to go all the way through September.
It gets too wet. My experience is after the first week of September, if you're not in, you're going to have moisture issues.
You're right. But I was pretty lucky last year with my 3 little plants. And anyway, I planted about like 20 seeds, and hopefully out of that I'll be able to glean, 6 or 8 plants, something like that. That's my goal.
Yeah, cool.
And there were 2 indica varieties and 2 sativa varieties that I got from my friend the gardener at the herb farm.
Nice.
So
it's good to have friends. It's good to have friends.
Yeah, especially he's and he likes to make his own seeds. He's a geneticist, but so they're hybrids. But one of them I'm really curious about. It's called hash dog.
Nice.
It's a hash plant.
That's a great
I'm
name.
looking forward to that. Yeah. But I do have some news stories I wanted to share with you, maybe more sobering news stories,
What do you think about the legalization in Mexico? You got anything to say about that?
Okay, yeah, I did. I have a few things I wanted to say about that. First of all, I went to Reuters, which is from 4 days ago, the news service, and then I also went to stopthedrugwar.org. And what actually happened this week is that the lower chamber approved a bill with a vote of 316 to 129. And as a consequence of that, the bill will go back to the Senate, and the Senate will approve the changes that were made in the lower house, just like in the United States. Same thing happens in the Congress. So, it's just it overcame a procedural hurdle this week. It's technically what happened. And so this, just so everyone's clear about this, like marijuana shops aren't opening in 6 months in Mexico. 2 things have to happen. The Senate in Mexico has to approve the legislation, and the president, who said he would sign, has to sign the legislation. So that's exactly what has to happen in Mexico. But according to the StopTheDrugWar.org article, it does explain the history of this in the context of comparing Mexico to the United States. And they say, quote, the legislative move to legalize marijuana is the outgrowth of a Mexican Supreme Court decision 3 years ago that held marijuana prohibition unconstitutional and gave the Congress a limited amount of time to bring the law into compliance with the Constitution. Deadlines were repeatedly bumped back, though, especially as the coronavirus took hold, but now the Congress was up against another deadline next month, and this time it beat the deadline. So it overcame a hurdle, but just like in New York State with the Democratic legislature and Governor Cuomo stopping legislation in New York State, just like in our state, there's another story I wanted to share with you tonight from Washington State. And this is about what is going on with home grows in Washington State. And this is from a newspaper called the westernfrontline.com, and it's post-dated March the 5th, 2021. It says, recreational cannabis home grow bill in Washington State has been dropped. Legislation authorizing personal cannabis cultivation may be taken up again in 2022 or reintroduced in the next biennium, which is like next legislative session, right? Says House Bill 1019 would have authorized adults over 21 and over to maintain up to 6 personal plants on the premise of their housing unit with certain limitations on production and possession. The bill has now been tabled for the session. Representative Kloba said the House Appropriations Committee dropped it because they are prioritizing legislation focused on COVID-19, economic relief, racial equity, and climate change. Quote, HB 1019 didn't fit neatly into any of these 4 categories and was not considered a high enough priority to consider in a year when we are hearing less legislation as a result of the pandemic. So it will not. So the legislature, they have to get this legislation passed by April. It just got stalled and killed in committee, and the session for the Washington State Legislature ends at the end of April. So it's not going to happen this year. We're not going to allow home grows.
This is what happens. This is what happens every year. Okay, I played a video for you a few months ago where they said that they're going to relook. The Congress is going to relook, or whatever is the state legislature is going to relook at legalization of growing home grows in Washington State, and they did exactly which they said the year before. And they did exactly the same thing where they say, oh, yeah, we don't have time to look at that. That's not really a priority for us. So they say the one bullshit thing that everybody in the state wants to hear. Yeah, you're going to get to grow your own weed at home. And then they go, oh, yeah, you can't really do that. We were just fucking with you.
Yeah, and that's what's happening in New York State as well. I mean, there's many more people who live in New York than in Washington State, but what I just read yesterday in the StopTheDrugWar.org, it was drunk driving or drug driving, perceptions of drug driving are what's holding up the legislation in the New York State legislature in terms of whether they want to go forward with like legalization of marijuana. The objection that drug drivers are going to be all over the place. So they will bring up these objections, bring up the children, bring up the car accidents, try to find any extreme example that they can to try and keep this plant away from people who use it responsibly.
Which is what I keep saying again and again, is that these people are every chance they get, they're clinging to this completely failed war on drugs that anyone can see is causing a heroin epidemic and a meth epidemic in our country. That's exactly what the black market is known to do, exactly what they knew it was going to do, and they just cling to never ever going to let that go. And it's because they want your neck under the jackbooted thugs, the jackbooted of their fucking never-ending, expanding police state. They do not want to let up on your freedom at all. They see your freedom as a threat to them because you know why? They're never ever gonna have a problem with marijuana, and neither are their children because they have all the right connections.
Yeah, well, Dave earlier from New York was talking about, how cool things are in the Pacific Northwest culturally, or his perception of people who live here. I just want to point out that, besides Illinois, I think Washington State and Illinois are the only two states that have legalized marijuana that have not allowed people to grow their own plants in their house. That's out of 11 or 15 states. They said you can't grow it on your property. And the deal is we legalized marijuana in 2012. 8 or 9 years since the referendum was passed, and we still haven't been able to have home grow legally in our state. And that is not an indication of a cool place. That's an indication of the people who are hyper fucking controlling other people.
Yeah, and it's the Democrats that are in charge here, and so they're the ones. Everybody thinks that the Democrats are so fucking liberal, But the people are screaming for this, and they act like, oh yeah, that's not our priority for years and years really and years. I mean, as Chris saying, what do you say? 2014, 2012. 2012, and I was screaming at people, please don't vote for this, and the main reason was because they were not going to let us grow at home. It's not a thing for me. I've been a medical marijuana patient for 17 years, but just as I was talking about with the last callers, how when you grow at home, the plants imprint on you, and they grow in a way in which they fulfill the need that you really need from this cannabis flowers. One way or another.
You develop a bond with any plant that you take care of.
Yeah.
A vegetable plant, a medicinal plant, a culinary plant, peppers, rosemary. If you love a plant and care for a plant, you develop a cool spiritual relationship with it. But if you garden regularly for your medicine, you're just going to appreciate all plants generally.
Yeah.
It's a great segue into gardening and to appreciating all plants in your environment. That's what I've experienced in my 40 years or whatever of smoking marijuana.
Yeah, I don't really want. I just want to grow pretty pretty cannabis flowers. It's something that I've wanted to do forever, and I'm really not interested. I mean, I think every once in a while that I should work to pretty up the yard or something, but it's not like something that I really want to do. You know, I think I should should do it, but it's not. But I really want to grow beautiful cannabis flowers, and it's like one of these things that I want to do before I die. I'm just like, I really want to make this happen. So that's how much I really want to do it.
You have done that. Yeah. So I mean, you have fulfilled that. You do grow beautiful flowers, and you're part of a culture where you can appreciate beautiful flowers. And on that note, from the Stop the Drug War article, you know, just to show how more progressive people in Mexico are than they are in Seattle, it says, under the bill, people 18 and older will be able to possess up to an ounce, just like here, and grow up to 6 plants in Mexico in their house.
Yeah.
That's part of this initial legislation that just passed the lower legislature and did pass the Senate, but now is being sent back to the Senate. But it's more progressive than the legislation that we passed in this state 8 or 9 years ago. That to me is fascinating. And I've only been in Mexico twice. I traveled on second-class buses all the way from Tijuana to San Cristobal, Chiapas, and all the way back twice, a couple months at a time. And I can tell you that, I never had a problem ever smoking cannabis in Mexico when it was, illegal in Mexico. And I didn't see people running up to me and trying to arrest me for smoking marijuana on the beach or on the street or outside a cafe. I didn't feel intimidated or threatened ever as a white person traveling by themselves, whatever, in fucking Mexico, staying in Mexican hotels, hanging out with Mexican people. I didn't ever feel like I was threatened with going to jail for having a joint in my pocket.
Well, that's really good. Yeah, that's really good. I'm glad to hear that, because I'm always worried about the police state and people being persecuted, especially for this in particular, because it's growing flowers. It's the safest drug there is, and I'm really glad to hear that the people in Mexico haven't been that the people in Mexico haven't been persecuted for the last 20 years or whatever.
And I found this chart from WorldPopulationReview.com that shows the rate per 100,000 people of incarceration, the incarceration rate per population for every country in the world. And the United States is the highest in the world. And we incarcerate 639 people for every 100,000 people in society.
Yeah.
In Mexico, that number is only 150. And in Canada, that number is only 100. It's less than 107. Our number is 639 people, for 6 times the amount of people in Canada, 4 times the amount of people in Mexico. We put in prison. So there's just something fucking fundamentally wrong with us. Why are we incarcerating people at these incredibly high rates? Drugs were illegal in Canada. Drugs were illegal in Mexico. Why aren't they incarcerating 600 out of every 100,000 people in their culture, right?
Right.
Well, there's something fucking wrong with us, Mike. Why are we arresting poor people and people of color and keeping them in jail?
Somebody's making a lot of money off of it. Duh.
Yeah, well, somebody does. Yeah, they do make money making shit in prisons and making shit for people in prisons and charging people for people being in jail. I mean, it's an industry.
Yeah.
That is a fact. But there's also a psychological aspect to it that is just slightly fucking disturbing.
It's really
how they
disturbing.
think they can get away with that.
I mean, they're making money off of people's misery, and they're the ones that create the misery in the first place, because people are just doing what's been done for 1,000 generations before them. From what I understand, the hemp plant was the first cultivated plant by humankind. So,
well, I don't know. It's a very old plant.
Yeah.
But it's been cultivated for a very, very, very long time. That's true. And we've used it as for people, for fiber and for all different types of things, medicine forever. It's a fact.
I think you can make a lot of. I think you can make a lot of foods out of it too. Honestly, from what
that's true. So the last story I wanted to share with you before I go is a story about Washington State. And if you recall, in the state, there was a Supreme Court ruling called State versus Blake that happened last month. It was like February 25th. And what State versus Blake did was it struck down all of the drug laws in Washington State.
Right.
Saying that the drug laws were too vague, and effectively anybody who has been arrested for these drug laws in our state for felony possession of drugs can have those decisions expunged from their record, and that basically until they fix the laws, they shouldn't arrest anybody in the state for drug possession until they fucking figure out what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
And that has, and the way that people have responded to that has been completely different and across the spectrum. So like the head of the Seattle Police Department, the very next day issued a statement and said, as of right now, we're not arresting anybody for drugs, period, end of story, right? But in Lewis County, I work at this cannabis farm, and it's in Lewis County, which is a Republican county. The Lewis County newspaper, the next day they ran this story that said, Lewis County plans next moves on drug ordinance possession. Lewis County officials seek local responses to high court ruling. And the article just starts talking about the Sheriff's Association, the prosecutors, and the sheriffs, and how the people in the state legislature are immediately responding to this court ruling. And if you remember, in Mexico, it was a court ruling. The Mexican courts basically said, your laws are fucked up and you need to fix your laws. Well, this has just happened here in this state, and there's a real clear line between people who are authoritarians and want to throw people in jail right away for some nonviolent crime in quotation marks, just right off the bat, and then there's these other folks who are just saying we need to decriminalize drugs right now and figure out a way to deal with this as a medical issue instead of as a legal issue. There's two different camps, and so in the legislature. There was a bill proposed it's a bipartisan bill by a Republican and a Democrat that would change the language in the drug laws so that they would insert the word knowingly into the legislation. Because the reason why the Supreme Court ruled it was a woman had a pair of trousers, right?
Yeah.
And they were her friend's pants. And she put on her friend's pants unknowingly, went out into community, got busted by the police for I don't know what the reason was, and they searched her, and in the coin pocket of her jeans they found some methamphetamine. They found some speed, and she ended up going to jail or something. She charged with possession of this controlled substance and going to jail. Well, that was because the Washington state law didn't have any provision for people who didn't know what the fuck was going on. You have drugs in your car, they're not your drugs, you're going to jail. Cops do that all the time, right? Throw drugs in the car, you're going to jail. There's no way to question whether you were aware or you were unaware. So instead of just throwing all of these drug laws out, there's a Democrat from Kitsap County and a Republican from over the mountains, a conservative place and a liberal place, and they're on board with the same thing. The governor is on board too. We'll get this legislation rewritten as quickly as possible so we can continue arresting people for drug possession in Washington state.
So we can keep this is what I'm saying is that they just keep this in a death grip. This has to immediately take priority is people's freedom. We can't have people's freedom getting freedom all of a sudden, because once they get their freedom, we never get to fucking treat them free again. It's really messed up, dude. I agree completely.
So it's all a bunch of political posturing, and this difference between the left and the right, it's minuscule because in almost every respect, it's the center. This guy Mark Mullet from Issaquah, who's introducing this bill to reintroduce drug laws in the state. He proclaims himself to be, a moderate fucking Democrat.
Yeah.
But he's acting like a fucking authoritarian Christian fundamentalist, as far as I'm concerned. Putting people in jail for nonviolent crime Why on earth should we pay for that? What a waste of our money.
Why and
what
why
a way
do
to
this? Why
destroy
do
a
this
person's
to?
life.
Why do this? Yeah. Why ruin these people's lives over something that this species, humans, have been doing for 1,000 generations? Okay. One of the things about being the big-brained, upright, tippy top of the food chain on this planet is you experience things and you go, "Oh, I really enjoyed that." Whether it be a piece of fruit or a steak or, you know, a puff of weed or a line of cocaine, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not here to
Masturbating,
judge.
whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever your trip is, whatever you enjoy, whatever humans enjoy, if you're not hurting another person, then just whatever. You got a problem if you think that somebody's doing something wrong because you can't see them doing what they're doing. But so it's kind of weird. Authoritarians don't want you to do anything that's considered immoral or wrong, but they want to watch you do everything.
Yeah.
Almost like they want to watch you do something wrong so that they can find a reason to put you in jail. And I just, you know, again, before I go, to leave on that note with that number I gave you, over 600 people in the United States for 100,000 people are incarcerated. And in Canada, it's like 100, and in Mexico, it's like 150. And why is that? I mean, we always say, well, we're so free, you know, and then look at how our media is like completely controlled. Even Fox News, CNN, New York Times, it's all like the same fucking narrative.
Yeah.
Doesn't change very much. So our media is this homogenous crap, mostly about celebrities and what are celebrities doing. That's what most people are obsessed with. Not really about what's happening in the country. And we're putting people in jail like 4 times more than our neighbors, you know.
Or
and
six times more than
bases around the world.
6 times more than Canada.
6 times more than Canada,
Yeah.
4 times more than Mexico. And we have 800 fucking military bases all around the world. The 10 or 12 aircraft carrier support groups kind of cruising around the world, intimidating anybody we don't like. I mean, it's just, I don't know if this is the greatest country in the world. The idea of democracy is a great idea. The idea of democratic representation is cool. You know, that's a good thing. You know, the rights that are enshrined to us in the Bill of Rights, those are important things. Those are important ideals. However, you know, our government doesn't really represent any of those things.
Yeah. I don't think we're the greatest country in the world. I think we have the potential to be the greatest country in the world, but we're being horribly misled.
Yeah, I'd like to live on the greatest planet in the universe instead of in the greatest country on Earth.
Well,
right?
When I talk about the
how we
things
think.
that I do, it's for everyone. It's not for just Americans, you know.
I know.
Yeah.
But isn't that a great idea? What if we thought about things that way? It's like, I would like to make sure that every Earthling, whether they live in China or in Africa or in the Middle East or in Latin America or in the United States, what difference does it make? Like, why shouldn't all people have, like, some basic fundamental human rights and human dignity and the right for representation? You know, the right to have their voice heard, you know, and their ideas implemented in mass, which is what democracy is supposed to be about.
And
it is
what I talk
the
about
Western
all the
Empire is
time,
about.
That's what the protesters are doing. They're demanding that their voices be heard.
Yeah, that's what the First Amendment is about. And that, you know, that's one of those things in the Bill of Rights that's just being eroded year after year after year and being trivialized in ways. So, but that's just par for the course because we don't live in a republic anymore. We live in an empire. And when you live in an empire, things change. It isn't like your voice matters as much when you live in an empire than when you live in like a republic. So we don't really have representation anymore. We have the oligarchs doing as they wish. And from what I can glean, you know, it's Facebook and Twitter who can determine who gets to speak and who doesn't get to speak.
Right.
It isn't really even the government that's making that decision. It's just wealthy people around the world.
They're extensions of the government at this point. I got to go, Chris. It's really good to hear from you, man.
Yeah, Mike.
I'm glad you called. I hope you call back soon.
Yeah, I will. And I enjoy the program and all the callers tonight, so I'll continue listening. Have a good night. Peace.
Okay, talk to you soon. All right, that's our buddy Chris from Olympia, and I'm going to play this story about Portland, and I will be right back.
Harrell chose not to run for re-election for his city council seat in 2019 and briefly served as acting mayor in 2017 when Ed Murray resigned. Harrell says he's also concerned about the ongoing destructive protests in Seattle, impacting neighborhoods as well as the business community. He knows this is something he will likely inherit if he becomes mayor. KOMO's Jonathan Cho is live in Seattle with more on that. Jonathan?
Yeah, Mary, Bruce Harrell would not go as far to say this would become one of his central campaign issues, but believes there's still an opportunity to negotiate with demonstrators to bring an end to all this protest, destruction, and violence across the city, something the current Durkin administration's been unable to do. Now, we showed Harrell this undercover video we obtained from a direct action marchers meeting Saturday night in Occidental Park. These are the protesters who wear black and are focused on property destruction to get their message across. Police arrested 13 demonstrators over the weekend. In the video, the group leaders heard saying the Seattle Police Department is understaffed and vulnerable, reminding marchers they face zero consequences unless they commit a felony and have free reign on the streets as long as they stay disciplined and focused. Harrell says that's not going to happen under his watch if he becomes mayor, and he plans on closely working with SPD and community stakeholders to address this ongoing problem.
Seattle don't have the resources. We can only get arrested if we're getting a felony. Do your research on how our cops handle things.
People who are just anarchists and just want to destroy property, we have to use the law and prosecute that kind of behavior. That's just criminal behavior. But if people are protesting because they want to be heard, we will listen to them. So we have to, again, practice what we preach. So let's go right to the protesters. Let's have discussions with them. So we will create a group to aggressively address it in a nonviolent way.
We also reached out to City Council President Lorena Gonzalez for her thoughts on how she plans on dealing with this ongoing protest, violence, and destruction if she becomes mayor, but she declined to comment. Gonzalez and Harrell are two of the higher profile names so far to enter this race, and both have City Council experience. Mayor Durkin already announced she will not be running for another term. Now, coming up at 6, why one community advocate says Harrell's the best person for this job because at the very least, he's willing to come up with a plan to address this issue. Back to you.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Tonight, city leaders in Portland say enough is enough when it comes to the ongoing violent protests in that city. Another wave of protests last week ended up with police setting up a perimeter around a large group of people Friday night and arresting more than a dozen. The protests first started last summer after George Floyd died in police custody in Minneapolis. Portland city leaders say it's clear that this is not what the demonstrations are about anymore.
And the community at large has already figured out that this has nothing to do with BLM or any other noble causes. This is just about people getting together to break stuff.
The Portland City Council is set to hear testimony on recent vandalism at their meeting tomorrow. Right now, there are questions of a potentially tainted jury pool and a possible delay in the murder trial of former officer Derek Chauvin in the death of George Floyd. 7 jurors who were seated last week are expected to face the judge tomorrow to determine if the recent $27 million settlement between the city of Minneapolis and Floyd's family tainted their view of the case. 2 prospective jurors today said they'd heard about the settlement.
The $27 million settlement is unfortunate. It is something to consider. But let's face it, it's not just a legal decision, that's a political decision.
A change of venue and continuance are under consideration now by Judge Peter Cahill. Chauvin's defense team is requesting the jury be sequestered. That's been denied for now. 9 jurors have been selected so far out of 12 plus 2 to 4 alternates.
All right. So, and I left the police brutality shit in there because, again, these people have a reason why they're in the streets. And like Chris was saying, you can see all these authoritarians saying this not going to be allowed under my administration, and these other fucktards that are clinging to this drug war, this completely failed drug war, which causes an epidemic of heroin abuse and epidemic of meth abuse, ODing everywhere. You know, this it's been proven that heroin addiction, meth addiction goes down once you legalize those drugs, because people are able to get help finally instead of having to hide in the shadows worrying about losing their life to the police state. All right, there's my Boo Bear. He decided to go back down by the river. How you doing, buddy? How's my beautiful baby? He's so bored right now. I'm so bored. I want to go for a swim. He really wants to go for a swim. You want to go for a swim, buddy? Yeah. I know. We'll try and get to the lake soon, bud. All right, so... Hello, caller.
What's up, man?
Hey, Brandon, what's happening with you?
Oh, I'll tell you in a second. Hang on. No, I'm sorry, I was pouring something out. No, man, everything's cool, man. And by the way, the government checks are hitting everybody. I got paid today, but I'm not celebrating about it. It's all good. But what I'll do, because I haven't watched you online yet tonight, but so I don't know what the theme is. So, Mike, what's the theme?
Oh, the title of the video is Mexico legalizes marijuana. Will the United States be next?
You mean Mexico legalized marijuana? It's official?
That's the way the news stories keep talking about it, but apparently it still has like another hurdle that it has to jump. It has to be like repassed by the Mexican Senate, but it looks like it's going to be 100% here pretty soon.
Well, if I was Mexico, I would legalize it because tourism would be fucking booming.
Yeah, you know what, Brandon, for fucking 20 years, 25 years, 25 years ago, I was on television in Seattle, one of the most watched shows in Seattle, and I was screaming at people, if you just legalize marijuana in Seattle, it will be the #1 tourist location in the world overnight. What is the holdup here?
Yeah, but in like how the caller before you, the one I was hearing before I called in, he was talking about just like you got one situation where it's legal or something is legal in one county and it's not the next or whatever. There's a rift. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's all if people want to talk about freedom, then don't talk to me about restrictions.
And
now,
you know
some
what?
parameters have to be in place, like a speed limit, right?
Uh-huh.
Or something like that.
Right.
Or don't let a 6-year-old drive a Ferrari.
If you're ODing on the fucking street, twice in a month, then you're going to go get help. We're going to make sure you get help, But if you're, if you're not bothering anybody and you're doing your thing, why the fuck should anybody care?
Well, you know what though? Maybe if that was acceptable, right? You wouldn't get outcasted.
Right. Well, that's not just it. It's not just that if it was acceptable, you wouldn't get outcasted by people. It's that you wouldn't have to fear about losing your life. Because right now, if you get busted with it, you lose your life. They take everything. Even if they don't take everything from you, you have to either get a good lawyer or you go to jail. And a good lawyer is going to take everything he can too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, dude. You know what? You're right, because again, in America, war is good for the economy, and so is prison and all this other stuff, and all that is tied to big government. So when people get up in there and say, "I want smaller government," but you vote for these policies, it kind of tells you that you don't want freedom. You know what I'm saying? But I hope that Mexico makes that shit legal, because there's a shitload of motherfuckers that would go, and Mexico would build resorts, and the cartels wouldn't kill nobody.
Yeah.
Around these locations, like, you know what? We get all this money, we good.
You know,
we good. So finally, Mexico can profit off of all what America doesn't want them to. So can you imagine if they do pass this? I guarantee you, our federal government's gonna come out blasting them.
I think you're right.
Because
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Because we're a police state that can't stand anybody having freedom, and Mexico sets us another example of freedom. And on the other side of our country, Canada's setting an example for freedom. Anybody in Canada can grow 4 plants. But you were talking about the tourism to Mexico. Cannabis is legal in Nevada now, right? I cannot believe that there's not a cannabis-themed casino yet, right? Because I just think that would be the most popular thing on the Strip, man. Everybody be down there.
Well, have you heard of the Tyson Ranch?
I have heard about the Tyson Ranch. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Mike Tyson, the former boxing guy.
Is that in Nevada?
Yeah. Yes, that's where he lives. And apparently they're constructing a place where it's going to be like a fucking weekend getaway probably every 2 or 3 days. Yeah. Where it's like concerts are going to be there.
Yeah.
You can do what the fuck ever. It's stuff like that. And it's going to be for adults, of course. But can you imagine, like, you're 24 and you're going to your girlfriend, "Hey, babe, let's go on vacation."
Yeah.
Or you got 3 kids and you're 36. Let's go to the Tyson Ranch.
Right.
And guess who's going to be there? Blah, 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 blah. Live performance, stand-up comedian. And you know what? We get to relax and have a good time, let our hair down, and we won't be judged. And then we'll hop on a plane, fly back home. And we'll just tell everybody that we went to Vegas.
Yeah.
If you think about it, it makes perfect fucking sense.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I like I said, I can't believe that there's not a casino there that's totally cannabis themed, because it seems like it would be so easy to make it cannabis themed, and then it would be so. I mean, all you got to do is get like one endorsement from Snoop Dogg, and like everybody's gonna flock from Southern California to this one casino, man. They're going to be booked. They're going to be booked 5 years in advance. Go ahead.
But the thing is, though, if that was the case, imagine Snoop Dogg's competition. All the billionaires who have money invested into all those casinos.
Yeah. They're not going to.
Therefore, they're going to make sure that the state don't give them a license.
Yeah. I'm not saying.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah. What I'm saying, not that it would be Snoop's hotel. What I'm saying is that, and you're right. They're very picky about that, because I think Donald Trump couldn't get a casino license in Vegas. So they're very picky about that. And there's probably rules on the book about, cannabis and the casino.
Yeah, exactly. But it could happen if you had your own private land. You got your license. It's got to be so far away from the city.
It just seems like it would be very popular to me. I would feel much more comfortable there. I can tell you that.
Yeah, it would be like a fucking a Disneyland for adults. And of course, you're going to have your young dummies that fly out there, 21 years old. That's what I want to experience, right? But you're going to have that 45, that 55, that 60, 70-year-old person that really understood the struggle of keeping something literally in the closet and hidden from family members to co-workers and to neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way I would promote it. Come on out. It's okay. You know what I'm saying?
I know,
It is.
and I mean, I've never been that way myself, but I haven't had to be that way, and kind of designed my life so that I didn't have to be that way. I've always loved cannabis, and I've never been ashamed of that fact. Or not so much ashamed as felt like I need to hide it from people, because if you got a problem, that's your fucking problem. I don't really care.
Yeah.
So,
But if you do it the right way, you can say, we'll pay for your airfare. Bam! You know what I'm saying? So it's a free trip, and you just pay whatever the fees are there, and then you sign up for a package. You know, you want, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and all the weed you want. Bam! That's your package.
it seems pretty good. Well, you know what? You don't sell them. You don't sell them actual weed. You take them by limo to the dispensary, and then they can pick 100 different strains or whatever, and they can smell them and all that shit.
Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, that's how you do it, man. I'm calling Mike Tyson. I'm gonna hit him up on Twitter.
I think you should. I think you're visionary. Yeah. I think you understand his vision, and you want to help him make it even better.
I'm gonna do that, man. I shit you not.
It's a great idea, bro.
All right, man. Well, hey, look, it was good to bull. Sorry I hopped in kind of late tonight.
It's just always good to hear from you, B.
Yeah, I know that's right. But most people should get their check on Wednesday. Just to let y'all know, if y'all know that website, it's something like IRS.org. Y'all go there, put in your information, tell you if you get money or if you owe money.
Yeah, I'm not going there. But thanks very much for letting everybody know.
All right, man. Well, y'all take care, man.
Okay, it's always good to hear from you. I'll talk to you soon. And that's our buddy, 2 Bronze Star Brandon. And it's always good to hear from him. I have another video about a police shooting. I'm not sure where it was, but I was talking about it earlier, how this car was trying to dodge the police and drive away from them, and they said it was trying to run them over, so they killed the driver. And you should know that that's the kind of video I'm going to play next, so that you're not shocked by it without knowing what's coming up. So, although we're so desensitized to violence at this point, it would be odd if someone was actually shocked by a video like this.
We turn next tonight to newly released body camera video raising questions about a deadly police shooting in Wilmington, Delaware. And we warn you tonight, the images are graphic. Newcastle County Police opening fire on Lamont Moses, allegedly driving at them, they say, trying to get away during a confrontation. His family says the video tells a different story, that it contradicts the officers, and they say it shows Moses was trying to avoid them when he was killed. A police investigation underway tonight. And the harrowing rescue near Twin Falls, Idaho. A couple in their 60s and their 2 dogs trapped after their pickup truck went over this bridge, dangling about 100 feet over a gorge. The pickup truck held in place by a set of safety chains actually attached to their camper still up on the bridge. Emergency crews pulling out the couple and their dogs. No one badly hurt. They say their camper saved them.
Trump won the election. Among the suspects' possessions, this is real, a white privilege card. I want you to take a look at this. It's a fake white privilege credit card. Subtitle, Trump's everything. The card holder, scot-free, with 2 T's. Scot-free is actually spelled with 1 T, but, 2 T's on that card. That one piece of evidence, an insight into the man's state of mind, that he can get away with anything because of his skin color. His lawyer saying this to CNN. This was a guy simply...
I'm sorry, that's not the video I meant to play, but it's right next to the video that I meant to play, the Shooting Sharks video, which I think is an excellent video, which is why I continue to play it again and again. And part of the reason that I find it very interesting is that is a high caliber rifle, very high caliber rifle being shot. And one of the things that I see is that they shoot it like kind of the direction of the people that are trying to swim away from the shark. And it's probably just going to agitate the shark more to have the fucking bullets shot at it. But they start to shoot bullets the direction kind of towards the people, and And to me, like, see that right there? Bullets bounce, and they will definitely bounce off of fucking water, because water can be very, very hard. And I mean, the boat is right there. It just seems like the guy with the machine gun may be more dangerous than the shark, really. But I don't see nature as being all that dangerous. A lot of people fear nature. I am part of it, so why would I fear it? So I have another video. We don't have any callers, right? So I have another video. If you want to call, the number's right there on the screen. 805-669-6397. 805 News. And there's my Boo Bear. But I have another video that I wanted to play for you about the fencing that's around the Capitol right now. They're discussing taking it down, or not actually taking down the entire fencing. They're going to kind of move the fencing back so that it opens up some of the streets that they've been blocking off with their martial law. We got to protect the fucking government from its people bullshit, which they don't, which is why they're removing this fencing, because there is no threat. Again, those people on January 6th, I've shown you again and again, they help when the cops trip and fall. They help the cops up, right? And they, are you okay? And when the cops step out of their way, they shake the cop's hand. They pat him on the shoulders. They weren't there to hurt people. In fact, as I've said again and again, they, in my opinion, were very peaceful protesters. So, but all the protesters that we see in the street, they're Americans. That's the only label to use on them. And if you see it any other way, then you're buying into this division thing. I mean, and this is what they always try and do with the protesters, is they're like, oh, these people are domestic terrorists. You know, the Occupy protesters were public defecators. And then they were public fornicators, and then they were drug users. That's who these people, these Americans who were in the street demanding the change they were promised by Obama, demanding that Obama hear their voices. And in fact, Obama said while campaigning, if you go into the street, I will be there standing shoulder to shoulder with you. And you know what he did? He labeled those protesters potential domestic terrorists. That's what his Department of Homeland Security did. They did it with his approval. Okay, the buck's got to stop somewhere. And then they went in and did stuff like thunk Scott Olson in the head with a tear gas canister, which is not right. And everyone should know about Scott, and that's why I bring him up again and again, because he was someone to be proud of in this country, and he made it obvious, you know, how horrible the police state is. Standing there with an American flag and a peace sign, and they thunk a tear gas canister off his fucking skull. And that was no lucky shot, let me tell you. They practice and practice to do that, just that, because they want to hurt you, because you are their enemy. They're not there to protect and serve. They're there to hold you down. And it should be pretty obvious to everybody at this point. Now, did I play the North Korea video? I don't know if I played the North Korea video, and it's got Kim Jong-un's sister on it, and I kind of got the hots for her, so you know. What's up, caller?
What? You called me. What?
No, that's not true.
Greg called me.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, he did.
No, I don't think so.
He said he was going to call me.
No, okay.
Then he called me. What?
Where's Wilco at? Are you here, Wilco?
Wilco, I don't know. I don't see him. What do you want Wilco for?
I want to know if he got the seeds I sent him.
Oh. You know, capitalism started in about the 17th century,
And it started with the commodification of land, how rich people would buy up land and then they would rent it to poor people, and they would take some of their crops or some money, and sometimes the poor people could band together and buy their own land. And now here we are 3.5 centuries later, and pretty soon you're going to be eating hamburgers made out of cockroaches and worms and poop, and you'll be happy because you won't own anything, but you'll be happy. And they'll probably put lithium in your drink to make sure that you're happy. And you know what? As far as Mexico legalizing that fucking drug, marijuana, you could solve a bunch of problems. You just finish that wall out of hemp, finish the wall out of hemp, and it'll keep all the drug addicts out, and it'll suck all the carbon out of the atmosphere, and we'll get rid of global warming too. And you could probably cure COVID-19 just by building the rest of the wall in between the United States and Mexico out of hemp, and that'll cure like 5 problems at once. That's what I think. And if we ever run out of weed, we just go down there and we can smoke the fucking wall.
What do you talking about? Run out of weed. Are you going to ever run out of weed the rest of your fucking life? Run out of weed. That's a good one, dude.
You never know.
No, I do. I know. That is not going to happen. I promise. Never, ever, ever for the rest of my life. That is not going to happen.
You can never get too much weed, Mike.
I'm just saying, I'm not going to. It's not that I have a lot of it. I'm going to have a little bit, but I'm not going to run out. I can tell you that for sure.
You got to have at least 30 pounds on hand at all times in case there's a shortage. Because there might be, you never know. They could make a disease in China that kills all the American marijuana, and we're fucked. You can't trust the fucking Chinese. We got to build a wall between China and ourselves too. Because fucking Chinese don't even get high, man. I don't know about that.
There's entire cities there dedicated to making methamphetamine. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, but they don't smoke marijuana. It's illegal. That's what's wrong with the world.
Well, it's definitely partially what's wrong with the world.
Half the planet smokes weed, and the other half wants to kill the people that smoke weed. That's what's wrong with us. We just... you will be assimilated, whoever you are.
No.
I have a set of very special skills, and I will find you. And I will get you to smoke weed.
I think that's a good plan.
And, I don't know what's up with fucking Mexico. I don't know how that's going to play out. But I know one thing. The cartels got money. They're already involved in marijuana distributorship, if not growing. And if marijuana, it's a good idea to make marijuana go legal, and you won't have killings with black market and stuff. But also, what's every mafia guy do? He's got a legit business on the side. The cartels are just going to get into legit marijuana. They're going to start a corporation, Mexican Marijuana Corporation, MMC Limited, and they're going to be in the marijuana business. And their product will be labeled as Happy Jack's Smoke Sack or something like that. You'll never know. It's coming from the Mexican Mafia, but it's labeled like Lesbian's Delight or Uncle Jim's Pipeweed or Bob's Magnificent Cookies or whatever. It's coming from Mexico, from fucking Howie Mandel and the fucking Mexican Mafia. It's like, fuck!
Well, we wouldn't have that problem if we just legalized nationwide. And I don't think they're going to have that problem. See, because if you legalize nationwide, then there's nowhere for the cartels to send it. Because they're not sending that shit to fucking Canada, guaranteed. You know, so you legalize nationwide, and what the fucking they're not going to be able to compete with local people making cookies and stuff.
Well, here's one thing that you can almost predict. See, because when we think about marijuana, we just think about smoking it. But there's so many products available from the cannabis plant that any Mexican entrepreneur with half a fucking brain in his head is going to jump into making hempcrete or clothing or fucking rope or sails or whatever, or food, because you can make food and other products from a hemp crop. You know, just got to shake the seeds out first, and then you got your food, and then the hemp product comes later. You know, you grind it all up, and you get it wet, and you press it on presses, and you make clothing. Who knows? But that's what's going to happen. Is you're
well, that's the industry that's just waiting to evolve, that they've been holding back now for 100 years or whatever.
Right. And you look at Henry Ford, he basically revolutionized car production, and he was a genius of his time. And some Mexican Henry Ford is going to pop up, and he's going to just expand, get a few. He's going to go public, get public money, and you're going to have Mexican hemp products coming across the border, taxed by the United States, and that, you know, in comparison to Canada, Mexico is miles ahead, and Canada's like, well, as long as you are a nice person and you don't criticize other species, or then you can have 4 plants. That's what Canada's doing. You can have 4 plants. It's like, fuck you. What do you want?
It's a start, though. I mean, it's not like in Washington State, you can't grow here. You can't. I mean, unless you have a prescription from a doctor that says, and you can get a prescription that also says that you're not allowed to grow. But if you get a prescription, the doctor can say, oh, you're allowed to grow this many plants. Like, I'm allowed to grow 15 plants. So, but they can say, yeah, you. But all along, you know, at least from the start, Canada was like, our people can grow, you know, 4 plants, which is really important when you live in the Great North, in the Great White North, because, you know, you might not be able to go out into the fucking 10 foot of snow to go get some weed, you know.
Okay, now, how long are those 4 plants going to last you? About a month?
I don't think so. Jesus Christ, man, how much do you get off a fucking plant?
At least £1 per plant.
Well, I'm going to get $1/4 pound per plant at least. So,
that's not even my point about quantity. I know that you get 4 plants or 15 plants. That's not going to last you all year, and so you're going to have multiple crops, and is the weed worth your electric bill because you got to grow indoors? All that shit.
Hey, I have 2 fucking giant lights. They're like high-end fucking state-of-the-art shit, okay? And I had them both running, and Craig told me we just got the cheapest electric bill we've ever got, or we've got in the last 5 years. I'm like, fuck yeah.
Those LEDs?
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody just gave me 4 giant hoods with ballast and bulbs today. They gave them to me, 1,000 watt and 600 watt.
Yeah, those bulbs aren't that expensive anymore. You can buy them for like $15 now.
Oh, well, cool. But I'm not going to use them because I'm an outdoor grower. I'm just going to sell them. But I also got some good veg lights too, you know.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm keeping, the veg lights, and I'm getting rid of the hoods and the ballast and the bulbs. But my point is, say you grow 4 to 14 plants in Seattle, but you got dispensaries all over Seattle, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. That weed is probably not coming from Seattle. Who's supplying those dispensaries weed? That's what I want to know.
I think it's all coming from Washington State. And because it all has to be tested by Washington State before it's allowed to go into the dispensaries. So for like mold and, you know, THC content and all these different things. So it's not, I think it pretty much all coming from Washington State. There might be a little tiny bit that comes from other places, but I doubt it. Yeah, Craig's like, no, that's not happening. All coming from Washington State.
Yeah, well, I think, you've got some deficits in the marijuana growing industry. The number one deficit is not the regulations. I don't necessarily agree with laboratory testing. I don't think you should have to laboratory test for THC, maybe for contaminants, maybe for heavy phosphorus, so people don't flush their plants, stuff like that. But the major deficit is in California anyways, is that you get all these outdoor growers growing near creek beds and stuff on their farmland in the Tri-County area up there, Humboldt and the other two counties. And the phosphorus leaches out into the little streams, and then it goes into the rivers and kills the fish. And I don't think that's proper.
Yeah.
I don't think people should be I think people, marijuana growers especially, should be more eco-conscious than that.
Yeah.
So that's a deficit, and I don't do that.
Well, that's my favorite thing about growing outdoors is I get to use stuff like fish bones and crab shells and kelp and fish emulsions. I love using fish emulsions for whatever fucking weirdo reason. But because the raccoons are like, hey, what's going on over here? But
sounds like my girlfriend.
but you can't use that, or I won't use that indoors. So I really like the outdoors. Besides it feeling more natural and everything.
Yeah, in the Tri-County, in the Humboldt area, and those other counties up there, they got a lot of outdoor growers, and they actually have to get grading permits to make sure the water runs off one way, and then you got county inspectors coming out. And, I understand the biohazard that they're trying to prevent, but, just government's into everything. You can't even have a goddamn lemonade stand without a permit and a fucking inspector. So imagine the shit that all these marijuana growers are going through just trying to raise a crop so they can have some smoke and then sell the rest to a dispensary, but you got 14 middlemen in between. You got the inspector, you got the fucking transcendental inspector, and you've got...
Well, like I said, I think that people should be allowed to, every little town has a farmer's market. And I think growers should be able to take their stuff down to the farmer's market and sell it like that. And people would find out real quick which ones, had too much phosphorus in it or which ones weren't the good ones, and they wouldn't buy from that anymore.
I agree.
Yeah.
And, it's just like an orange grower, This guy grows great oranges, and this guy's oranges are mediocre. And, they're, your product is going to speak for itself. Like a good salsa. I like your comedian friend. I forget his name, but
Rupert.
He has all the good ideas,
Rupert, yeah.
Make a salsa that gets you high. I mean, he doesn't know I'm a fucking salsero and a grower, but that's a pretty damn good idea, It's just not quite.
Well, I've already seen official licensed sriracha that's infused with THC.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Is it official sriracha or is it another brand?
I'm pretty sure it's official sriracha. It's in an identical bottle, and it's although it's only like an ounce or 2 ounces bottle, so it's a very small bottle. But
I got one right in front of me here.
Yeah, I don't think.
149, 9 ounces, 255 grams, sriracha hot chili sauce.
Yeah, I don't think you can use the name sriracha without their permission.
But that's only THC infused. It's not. I mean, it's CBD infused, not THC.
No,
right?
I'm pretty sure it was THC infused. I've tried to contact them because I would love to take it on the show and show people, but I didn't hear back from them, so I don't know what's going on.
You can only buy that in a dispensary, right?
It was also, that's the problem. It was a California place that I saw it coming from, so I think it's kind of hard to ship things across state lines. The seed people don't mind, but it's legal to ship the seeds. From what I understand, if the THC content is under 0.001%, 0.003%, then you can ship it. And there's no THC in the seeds, so.
Oh, I see. Yeah, you're right. That's why it's good food. You could cook the seeds and it wouldn't get you high.
Right, that's what I think primarily if you were to make food out of cannabis, you probably would primarily use the seeds.
That's the, well, you know, so, if you ever ate a pine tree, Mike, some parts are edible. You know, what are you gonna do? You're gonna eat the stems, you know. But you can brush your teeth with the stems. It's quite fibrous, you know. But you know, we all need more fiber in our diet. But yeah, you know, I think roasted seeds would probably be good in some kind of a mix. Who knows? They could make a paste out of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that they make a paste out of it. It's supposed to be very high protein food. It's supposed to have certain types of amino acids, I believe, that you can't get from anything else than cannabis seeds. So.
Yeah, there's so much you can do with this plant. We've both seen houses made of it, or at least walls. I've seen a whole house, and I know how to make the walls. I've never made hempcrete. I'm not going to sit there and grind up fucking hemp. And I've made 1,000 pour-in-place walls out of concrete. But
yeah, I think I have a video about that on the website, making the concrete out of hemp. Yeah.
Yeah, hempcrete, just lime and ground up hemp, basically. But it does suck carbon out of the air, and the longer it sits, the harder it gets, just like concrete, you know. So it's, you know, these are good products, and we'll see what happens in Mexico. It's just Canada is such a communist motherfucking country that you know, if you're wearing the wrong fucking colored shoes, you might get fined by the government if you don't blend in. If you know, it's a crazy fucking country. No more crazy than we are, but they certainly seem to crack down on dissent a little bit harder than most of the United States. I hear a lot of complaints from Canadians about you know, the COVID regulations and the vaccines and the weaponized media. I guess the media is not so good up there either. So you know, in Mexico, basically, it's like we're all poor, and you know, if you get stopped on the road, you give me 5 pesos and you go on your way, and you just grease the cop's palm and you keep on going. And if you get thrown in prison, you're fucked. But basically, if you're just a poor fucking Mexican and you're not a political protester, you know, you can grow a bunch of weed out in the hills behind your backyard, and nobody knows whose it is, so you can't get busted. So now it's all legal, and
well, if they don't know whose it is, somebody's gonna come and take it. Say, well, it's mine. Fuck you. So you want to make clear whose it is. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but that's the way it's been in Mexico for 100 years. It's like, you know, people, little farmers do grow, but they don't want to grow on their own property because they can, if they get caught by the federales, they can always say, "Oh, that was Jesus up in the hills. I think he's growing that stuff. It wasn't me, Officer Patron." You know. So I mean, but Mexico has the best tequila manufacturers on earth. It's just amazing, the pulque and the tequila they get out of the fucking plants up there. They have farms that you know, 1 square mile farms, multi-square mile farms, and nothing but fucking agave, you know. So
yeah, it's like century-old shit.
Yeah, I mean, and technically that's not even like vodka or gin or any other alcohol. It's technically a psychotropic. It's not like alcohol, you know.
It does seem a little different than alcohol.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what I drink. If I drink, I'll have a little tequila. And I like it better than Irish whiskey, Jack Daniels, vodka.
Rumple mix. Rumple mix.
Vodka.
Rumple mix.
What?
Rumple mix.
What the hell is that?
Peppermint schnapps.
Oh, yeah.
100 proof peppermint schnapps.
Yeah, liqueurs are quite different. But tequila stands out amongst the whole planet as a completely unique product. And I don't know if you've ever seen video of a tequila factory. You know, they boil it and they get all the milk out and they mash it up and then they distill it.
Craig went to, when he was in Mexico, he went to a Reposada tequila place.
Yeah.
He got a really nice bottle of tequila that he brought home from Mexico, and they went to the place, to the, I don't know, you don't call it a winery, I don't know what you call it, but
tequila factory.
Tequila factory. I don't know. He said they had the cactuses there and everything. So.
Yeah. They're agave plants, and you know, you got guys out there with machetes that cutting all the leaves off, and they basically use the core of the agave plant, and then they mash it all down. And the Mexicans will cut open the plant itself and then drink the white liquid, which comes out, and that white liquid is called pulque. And they tell me you get high. I've never had it, but maybe your Mexican friend up by where you live who calls in all the time, Manuel,
yeah,
maybe I'm sure he would know about pulque, and maybe he's even had it. But yeah, you get high right off the white liquid, the milk that comes out of the agave plant. But are you getting irritated at me yet, Mike?
When I lived in Maui, the older Hawaiian guys tell me that they would go down to the pineapple plantations and they'd cut the top off a pineapple that was almost ripe, and then they'd just mash all the fruit down in the center of the pineapple, and then they put the top back on, and they'd come back like 72 hours later and drink it, and it would just get you wasted.
Whoa, I never heard of that. Wow, 72 hours.
Yeah.
I wonder what kind of fucking
that was some really old school shit too. I mean, this is like the guys that are, 55, 70 years old.
Have you ever seen them? In Mexico, they'll take a small watermelon and they'll cut kind of a big circle on the top, about a couple inches in diameter.
And then
they'll
fuck
take
it?
the thing off. Then they'll stick a drill inside there and mash everything up into a liquid.
Huh.
Throw in about 3 ice cubes and 2 straws, and you can drink you can drink it right out of the fucking water.
No, I've never seen that. That sounds very interesting.
Oh, yeah. It's awesome. It's awesome. But every country's got its tricks in making different products. You know about the combination of the two plants in the South American jungles that make the ayahuasca mixture, right?
I don't know about the plants that make the ayahuasca mixture.
Yeah, one plant has the psychedelic drug in it, but your stomach acids kill that and null and void it, so you'll never get high if you just drink that plant alone. So they somehow, in the middle of the jungle, over the last 50,000 years, they figured out, if I add this second plant here, it will kill the ingredient in the first plant that reacts to stomach acid, and then we'll be able to get high. And so they figured that out somehow.
We are the tippy top of the food chain. This sounds like a very basic thing to figure out if you really want to get high, which, as I've been saying, people have been doing for 1,000 generations, and that pretty much proves it.
Yeah, one way or another, human beings are going to get high. I mean,
it's, again, part of being the top of the food chain.
I mean, even reindeer eat magic mushrooms in the Siberian.
Yeah, I've heard cows do that a lot too here, and fucking mushrooms grow everywhere.
And then the gypsies, the reindeer herders. They somehow, I don't know, I think they drink the reindeer piss, and they get high off the reindeer piss, which is weird.
How do you figure that one out?
I don't want to know, Mike. Don't tell me.
I've heard of there's trees in Africa where the fruit will reach a point where it becomes fermented and start to fall off the tree, and a lot of animals will gather to eat the fermented fruit because they get high off it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very weird planet we're on, and it's so beautiful and diverse, and we are really fucking it up bad. And I just want us to see, that beautiful song by Joni Mitchell. It's called Woodstock. I just want to see us all get back to the garden. In essence, sure, modern medicine has a lot of things to offer, and technology has a lot of things to offer, but there's so many bad things like pesticides and radiation and the stupid COVID-19 and the mind control programs coming at us, and the corruption in government. It's like, we just want to get rich now and fuck all you peasants, And so you got to pay attention to everything, especially the evolution of government systems. And we're basically in post-capitalism. Capitalism is over, and we're in a kind of techno-feudalism, and the future doesn't look bright. That's what I wanted to talk
Plutocracy. Go ahead.
Yeah, or a kleptocracy where everyone in government just steals from the people. That's a kleptocracy. But we're beyond plutocracy. We're beyond 1984, really. But I'm looking at the world, and I see all the panicking people, and sometimes I get a little nervous myself about my future and my finances, and I'm better off than a lot of people. But I see all the Christians and other people. They're going, "Oh, this is the end times." And I was thinking today, if we're really positive about the future, and we think that we'll get through this shit, then maybe we should start, as a matter of habit, to call this the beginning times, because maybe we just can't see past the mess we're in, and maybe it really is the beginning times.
This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Age of Aquarius. Aquarius.
Harmony and understanding, unity and everything, that's cool. Raka, mystic crystal revelations, and the mind through liberation.
Aquarius.
Aquarius.
That movie Hair?
Yeah.
I love that movie, dude. I've watched that movie dozens of times.
The guy that did Jesus Christ Superstar, I forget, he married some fucking Canadian opera singer. I can't remember her name, but he did a good job on Jesus Christ Superstar too. If you analyze that music, that's some pretty good rock and roll. And
it's an interesting opera for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I could have picked a better subject. I don't think the play came off that well, but the music, if you look at it, I've ripped off some of his licks because he has some good licks, but I forget his name. You had West Side Story, Jesus Christ Superstar, Hair, they had Moulin Rouge, which actually had some good music in it.
There's a movie called Across the Universe. Have you seen that one? It's all Beatles music. It's great.
Is that the guy that somehow came back and the Beatles didn't exist, but he remembered?
No, but that's a pretty good movie too. Did you watch that one?
Yeah, I think I saw Across the Universe too. Remind me about what was it?
Across the Universe is a musical that's all basically set in the time of Vietnam, and it's these people who just come together and hang out. It's all Beatles music. It's very, very good. I highly recommend it.
Huh. I saw a poll. It was actually, forgive me, but it was a Facebook poll. Was it? Yeah, and it said which best music? The 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, or 2000? And I chose the 70s. But then I started thinking, you know, I'm kind of partial to the 70s, but a lot of damn good music did come out in the 80s, you know.
It comes out in every age. I feel recently less so, but I think that that's basically just what we hear on the radio, more or less. There's probably some performers, you know, and I know that there's performers that I really enjoy, but I think it's less recently. But in the early 2000s, there was some really interesting new kind of forms of music. You know, in the late 70s, the disco started, and that was different. You know. I fucking love Donna Summer, dude. I was like, oh, I hate disco, and then I was at a party getting high, and like they play this Donna Summer album, and I'm just like, oh my god, this music's so fucking good.
That was Sergio Marconi, I think, who produced Donna Summers, and I remember a couple of her songs. It's like, I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love.
Yeah. I mean, I don't honestly remember the songs that I heard, but she was great. I mean, it was really, really pretty music. So it's not
well,
like
for me, it was always Zeppelin, the Stones, Bowie, Pink Floyd, Bad Company. All the bands of the 70s, and a lot more, but that's where just this giant volumes of great songs and great music came out, and there wasn't a lot of digital recording. You had to do it kind of live, and you did it on tape, and you know, there's a real perfection that comes when you don't have 48 tracks. You got to do it in 8 tracks, and you know, and just the ingenious. It's like they were all children, and this is brand new world, and so they said, we own it. And then you had all these brilliant people come up, most especially, you know, I would say Page and Plant. You know, they were great. But to me, the 70s was great. The 80s was good too, but a lot of younger people would say, oh, the 90s, they had like grunge music and, you know, everything, rap. You know, I guess rap came along in the late 80s, and hip hop and stuff. But
yeah, like I'm saying, like that's what I'm saying is that, you know, there's always this music that's being created in the moment that's that has, you know, it's new, it's about what's happening now. I don't think it's as recognized now. But yeah,
there is no music industry now. I mean, you got to already be established, because the music industry is. Billie Eilish was a fluke. She's the one new artist that actually got established worldwide from just.
Is that the girl with the green hair? I don't know who that is.
Yeah. She's a brand new artist, and basically her brother's got some really good. Common sense, and he's pushing her through it. But you know, art speaks for itself. But right now you can't expect to, like, quote unquote, make it big. You can make music. There's 70 million people across planet Earth making music right now in studios, either worse than or better than the one I'm sitting in right now.
Not just studios. I mean, they're, you know, sitting in front of their computer and making music. I mean, there's a lot of people making music just at home. But yeah.
Yeah. So it's the big. It's not the end times, Mike. It's the beginning times, and I think we should speak that way, because there's enough negativity. But, you know, I'm going to say fuck them and fuck those guys and fuck these guys, and I'll be nasty and negative sometimes. But it just occurred to me, maybe we should begin to entrain people's minds and ears into thinking that this is just the birth pangs of a new world. Like, these are the beginning times, you know. And it's hard. It's hard to give birth to a brand new planet, but maybe we can do it. Maybe we're fucked. I'll talk to you later, bro.
Okay, talk to you later.
Take care.
Okay, I'm gonna play this video about the fencing being moved back around the Capitol because I thought it was pretty interesting, considering. But it's not really being moved back. It's just being kind of. They're opening up streets that they've been blocking with this razor wire fence. They've been blocking all these streets, and they want to open those streets back up. So they're moving the fences back a little bit. It's not as if the fences are coming down. So, and there's no threat. They say again and again, there's no threat. So this is, again, these people, I think they might just be afraid of you. I think that, as I've talked about before, people should not fear their government. Government should fear their people. And I believe that wholeheartedly. And I think, I don't know how much they fear, but I think that there's a little bit of fear in them. And so when they go, oh, there's no credible threat, but what's going to happen is they'll go, there'll be something will happen, right? They'll pull the fences back, and then something will happen, and they go, oh, we have to put the fences up permanently now. We can't have this. This is it. That's it. That's all. Because that's the way that these people work. That's the way they've worked for a long, long time. And we should recognize that. I think it's important. So anyways, fences being moved back so that they can undo the streets of martial law in Washington, D.C., at least a little bit.
A live look now at the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. More than 2 months after the deadly attack on the Capitol, we're learning the fencing surrounding it will soon be scaled back. The acting House Sergeant at Arms told Congress members this will happen in 2 phases, and there is currently no credible threat against the Capitol.
Got to believe that all the analysts, and they do have analysts at the Capitol Police, are looking at things like social media, saying not only do we see a mountain of people coming to Washington, obviously not, but do we see these groups talking about going to Washington? And the message by removing the fencing is they don't.
The outer perimeter fencing will be removed near the end of the month, and inner perimeter will be moved closer to the Capitol building this week, freeing up access to nearby streets and sidewalks. A new report says the U.S. military considered not providing support to Capitol Police leading up to the January 6th attack. According to the Washington Post, a draft memo from the Army called for denying additional support days before the attack. The memo argued the military should not be required to help police unless more than 100,000 demonstrators were expected. It's important to note that the memo was never signed or approved, and the National Guard did respond by deploying 350 guardsmen to help with crowd control.
There's my beautiful baby. How's my beautiful baby? You're my beautiful baby, boo-boo. You're my beautiful baby. Isn't he a beautiful baby? What a beautiful baby he is. All right, so I have that video done. Have a couple more videos if you guys want to see them. Otherwise, this is a call-in show, so the number's right there on the screen. It's 805-669-6397 if you would like to call. Otherwise, I'm going to just play these videos so we can get them done. Because I came to take phone calls and play videos and smoke fat dabs. And if we don't have any phone calls, then I'm going to play videos. Because that's the way it works, people. I don't make the rules here. It's just this the way it goes. So let's watch Pregnant Military. Pregnant Military? Is that what you want, boo-boo? Pregnant Military. You like the way that sounds? Pregnant Military. Pregnant Military. You're my beautiful baby. You are. It's true. Pregnant Military coming up.
So we've got new hairstyles and maternity flight suits. Pregnant women are going to fight our wars. It's a mockery of the U.S. military.
That was Fox News host Tucker Carlson on the Pentagon endorsing changes aimed at making the military more inclusive and diverse. The clip went on to light up social media, and the Pentagon was quick to respond, with Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby saying, quote, "We still have a lot of work to do to make our military more inclusive, more respectful of everyone, especially women. What we absolutely won't do is take personnel advice from a talk show host or the Chinese military. Joining me now is someone with firsthand experience in the military, combat veteran and former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense, Amber Smith. Amber, I'm guessing you've heard this before. My question is, has anyone ever said it to you while you were in uniform?
Has anyone said what?
Questioning a woman's role in the military.
Oh, absolutely. I served in one of the combat arms positions where the only job that women were allowed to serve in before they lifted the restriction in 2016. I was a Kiowa Warrior helicopter pilot. I served in combat in Iraq and Afghanistan. And that was the only aviation helicopter pilots. It was the only job that women were allowed to serve in those combat positions. Since then, in 2016, they lifted the restriction and they allowed women to serve in the infantry and special forces, special operations, field artillery, things that they couldn't do before. And so absolutely, I promise you, when it comes to why women are in the military, should they be there or should they not? But I went into it knowing that it was going to be hard and that I better quickly develop thick skin if I want to succeed, and that the military isn't for everyone. And they don't care if I'm a man or a woman. They want the best person, regardless of your gender, to be able to accomplish the mission. And so now in 2021, we want to make sure that that doesn't get blurred. The military's existence, their sole purpose is to fight and win wars. It's not a social experiment. It's not about making people feel good or including everyone. Serving in the military is not a right. The military turn down people every single day with all sorts of health problems, people who want to serve. Right. So, I really have heard it all, but they've made tremendous strides with women across the years.
Amber, there's a camp, and you're obviously in it based on your Twitter feed, that thinks the Pentagon shouldn't have even addressed this. They shouldn't have. They should not have. It was absolutely an embarrassment to all those who wear the uniform, who have served, and to the taxpayer as well. Tucker Carlson is a private citizen and a taxpayer. And yes, he is a cable news host, but he is entitled to his opinion. Every single American is entitled to their opinion about the military. And so for the Pentagon, for people in uniform to come out and use their official platform as they are in the military, to speak out against it and make political statements that they disagree with. He wanted to, the sergeant major of the command sergeant major of the Space Force, that Twitter video that he put out, it was just absolutely disrespectful, and it put down Americans who had never served. We have an all-volunteer force. There is no requirement, and the U.S. military should not be shaming people who haven't served. So I was ashamed to see high-level military officials publicly taking that stance to put down American citizens. Like, I will say, when I was at the Pentagon, I worked largely on the civilian military divide and connecting with the American public. And that divide continues every single year. It gets farther and farther, and Americans less connected to their military. And so for official military people in uniform to come out and make those sorts of statements really hurt the military, is what they did. What they did was it was high school drama that they interacted in. Amber, and let me get one more question in here for you. You've written about this too. When you're talking about increasing diversity, you say...
All right, I'm tired of listening to her. I don't really get that story. I'm all for equality, but I don't know why you would want your daughter or your sister or your mom to go off into the military. Maybe they can get an education. I hear really bad stories about the way women are treated in the military. And I know I wouldn't want my mom or my daughter subjected to the kind of things I hear women have to go through there. Or my sister, or any woman, really. I think it's incredibly unfair that you're simply trying to do a job and subjected to constant harassment. Okay, so I have 2 more videos, but I'm really hungry, so I'm only going to play I'm going to play a little bit of the first video, and then I'll play the other video maybe. But this is, again, about the Portland people, the Portland protests that are going on. And you can just hear in these people how much they despise freedom. They despise freedom. They hate freedom of expression. They hate freedom of speech. And these are the people that swear an oath to protect your freedom, you know? Not the news people, but a lot of the news people are retired police, retired military, retired politicians, and those people all took a vow to protect your freedom. And it's just so obvious that they hate your freedom. It's horrible. It's horrible that we can't do better than these people being in the mainstream media trying to convince us that you should hate freedom too.
You bet.
In Portland, local officials are now asking for help after leaders there voted to defund the police department to the tune of $16 million last year. Violent protests have continued to rage in the months since that vote. Chief Correspondent Jonathan Hunt is live from our West Coast newsroom with details. Good evening, Jonathan.
Good evening, Shannon. And Portland is not the only West Coast city that has seen a rise in violent crime and continuing violent protests, including over the weekend, as protesters marked the one-year anniversary of the death of Breonna Taylor. Here in LA, dozens marched through Hollywood and then clashed with police. Some protesters at one point climbing onto the hood of a police cruiser, which then accelerated, throwing those protesters to the ground. They were not injured, but 3 police officers were. One suffering ear damage from a smoke grenade that detonated close by, another injuring a knee during a chase, and a third cutting a hand after being hit by a large object thrown by a protester. 9 businesses were damaged, 11 protesters arrested. LAPD Captain Steve Lurie wrote on Twitter, quote, "We are blessed in the United States to have the protection of the First Amendment. LAPD Hollywood was there to ensure this group could express themselves under the umbrella of that protection. They had no such intentions and came to destroy Angelino's businesses and attack police officers." In Seattle, there were more than a dozen arrests after marchers took to the streets and tried to block vehicles. A Starbucks store was vandalized. While in Portland, Oregon, the federal courthouse was the target for demonstrators just days after officials had removed barriers used to protect it during violent protests last year. Over the weekend, the building was once again the scene of clashes with police as demonstrators spray-painted slogans on the walls.
We collectively condemn hateful, intimidating, and destructive acts. And we want you to know that we're aligning our resources, we're revising our tactics, and we're fighting back with everything that we've got.
Now, it's worth remembering that Breonna Taylor was a 26-year-old medical technician. She died on March 13th last year during a drug raid by police in Louisville. She was not the target of the raid and no drugs were found. President Biden marked the anniversary of Taylor's death with a tweet calling it a tragedy and a blow to America and promising, quote, meaningful police reform. Shannon?
Jonathan Hunt in LA. Thank you, Jonathan.
Sure.
There are hundreds of miles along the U.S.-Mexico border without any section.
Enough of those people. Oh, that's not the one I wanted. Let's see. Where's the Boo Bear? There's the Boo Bear. Hey, buddy boy. You're my beautiful baby. Always and forever. Okay, so again, I came to play news stories and take phone calls and take fat dabs, and we're all out of phone callers, I guess. So we do this every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, which means we'll be back tomorrow. Same Mox time, same Mox channel, and remember, it's always better when you're here. So I hope we see you back soon. Until then, remember, one of these days, this war is going to end. Stay cool till then.
I mean, this coalition of misfits, and they cobble together, and they don't attack each other. They stay united. I wish the coalition of misfits, and they cobble together, and they don't attack each other. They stay united. united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together, and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together, and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together, and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition.
Sometimes life can be a little overwhelming. Sometimes the weight of the world can be too much to bear. Sometimes you need to stop worrying and take a deep breath. Sometimes you need cannabis. Introducing Brightside, high-quality cannabis delivered right to your door. Brightside offers an extensive menu of strains and products to meet your needs. Choose the experience you want, and we'll send you the dankest herb, the real sticky icky, some top-shelf marijuana. If you like what we send you, keep the whole jar. We'll even include some nugs for you to blaze. As part of Discovery, you'll get to try new strains and products. Side effects may include euphoria, increased appetite, uncontrollable giggles, elevated sensitivity to musical dopeness, and reduced anxiety. Tetrahydrocannabinol may also induce feelings of existential well-being and relentless optimism. With a Brightside subscription, you can get it once a month, once a week, or whenever you want, all at a price you'll like. And yes, this is a real company.
Do you know who I am? You're the wizard.
Ask your doctor if cannabis is right for you. It probably is. Keep it Brightside.
No matter which mouth you feed on a two-headed snake, it still shits the same turd. But lucky for you, you have Mox News. More than 10 years. More than 60,000 videos. Mox News has been filtering the nonsense and illuminating the bullshit from your mainstream media. Turn off your TV and turn on to Mox News. For over a decade, documenting the socio-political events that have etched and carved the pathways that define today's modern mess, Mox News has been providing clarity while faithfully bringing you today's relevant stories 100% commercial-free and subscription-free. And just like Lady Liberty vows to remain free. But at this time, we're asking you for your help, your patronage, and your support to keep the lights on and the videos rolling. For less than 17 cents per day, you can become a basic subscriber, knowing that your donation is truly making a difference that will help continue bringing the news stories that make a difference in your life. Turn on, tune in, and drop a couple dimes today by clicking the link below or visiting moxnews.com and show your support at any level. From a single one-time donation or dedicated monthly subscriber, do it now in less than 2 minutes. All donations are safe, securely processed, and verified using PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover Card. As always, we're sure you'll find something of interest each and every day. This holiday season, give the gift of Mox. moxnews.com.